Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, November the 5th, 2020. It's the year that just keeps on giving. Let me tell you, it just, you know what? I could go for one more of these bad boys because it's just not enough. I need more, Jeff. I need more 2020 in my life. I don't think just this one calendar year is enough. I need some more. And thankfully, we still have two glorious, and I'm certain that it will be lengthy months ahead of us. But this podcast won't be as lengthy as last week's because holy shit, there was almost nothing that happened in the last 7 days. But before we get to that, Mr. Black, I have to ask you the sacred question. How was your week? I cannot hear your microphone. I'm going to assume that you're saying, same old same, except I closed on a property finally with a mortgage today, and now I get to wait to pay 3 to 5 times my son's college education to have them strip, gyprock fill, and paint the entire property. And if I had to guess one more piece to that situation, it would be I changed to my winters. No, I'm still not hearing you. Hold on. I will change it. It might be my end. It could be my end. So just one sec. Let me double check to make sure that it's not on my, because it could very well be. One sec. Let me just go in here and here and here and just dick around in here some more. And then I'll call you again. What about now? No. Hit up Discord settings and just change it off of default or to default and then swap it back to something else. It does seem to, for whatever reason. No. Yeah. It's another Technical Alpha podcast, ladies and gentlemen, where you just never know. Discord's one of the most finicky fucking programs with this, and it's only in video and voice calls. If you just use like a chat channel, it's often perfectly fine, but there's something about the video portion that always goes crazy. That's why you always hear me at the beginning of these podcasts changing my
testing.
There you go. I got you now.
There we go. All right. I just had to restart Discord.
Yeah. I was just explaining how that's often Discord for when it comes to video calls for some reason specifically. Because if you're just using, the voice channels, I almost never have a problem. But the moment you enter into one of these, it's a different animal. But yeah, the sacred question: how was your week?
Same old same. I didn't actually sign the papers I went there to sign the papers this morning, but then we worked out. We're trying to work out a different type of mortgage because I'm putting a whole bunch of renos in. So they had it set up so that I'd be locked in for like 5 years. But we're gonna change it a little bit so that after I'm done the renos and get it rented, then I can go back, get it reappraised, and then pull out all the extra added value that I put in, and then get locked in for a term. So. They couldn't just do that on the spot. They have to get, underwriters.
Has to be appraised as well.
Well, no, it's already been appraised.
Post reno.
Yes, afterwards, yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going back tomorrow morning, and then I'll be finally signing, and then I'm just waiting to start everything.
Oh, well, there you go.
Other than that, it's been the same old same.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Same here. I mostly spent my week playing Call of Duty Warzone. And that's been my week.
Fun.
That's it. This is Call of Duty Warzone.
Oh, I also shaved my head, so I'm looking like you. I didn't go as
well. You didn't go as short as I did.
I didn't go as short as you did because I don't know. I just didn't. I just wanted hair because it is still winter.
It's true. I can tell you, especially since I have less hair on my head in general, that the colder weather has been much more noticeable.
Oh, I'd imagine.
Going outside in the early mornings, for sure, has suddenly I'm making more use of my hoods now. to keep the old noggin warm. But except for today and tomorrow, where it's supposed to be like 16 degrees tomorrow.
It's gonna be a hot one.
Balmy outside, short and t-shirt weather, and then I'm sure the next day it will be right down to like -4.
It's actually supposed to be nice for like 5 or 6 days straight.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, well, there you go. Well, it didn't stop us from getting that random bout of snow here a couple days ago, and then, like, the entire city apparently shitting itself. I swear to God, we must have more out-of-towners than ever before, because I don't recall the first snow ever resulting in so many accidents all over the city. But the other day when we had our snow, my God,
It was
everyone was crashing everywhere. Mark, our editor, was stuck on the bus on the way home for like fucking hours and hours and hours because he was on the other side of the bridge and
it got shut down.
Rip. So yeah, a bit of a pain in the arse. But regardless, yeah, no, it wasn't a very exciting week. Warzone is still Warzone. It's still the best battle royale on the market, which is not a high bar. And my God, do you ever get reminded of that every time you play Warzone? 20 tick rate servers are bad. The audio is still atrocious. The texture glitch. I don't know if you've ever like stopped in after your stream is done, if I'm streaming and you've seen any of it, but the old glitch where when you pick up a gun after dying, usually like you go to the gulag and you get back out, or even in the gulag, the textures on the guns just fucking blow up, and if you pick up the gun, the whole screen is just full of fuck.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, that's back. Again, they fixed it and now it's back again. And so totally game breaking and completely ruins the experience on top of like many other bugs. I've had like grenades make zero sound. Thrown a grenade and it's silent. It's the silenced equipped frag grenade, amongst other things. So just a really. It's disappointing because it's like right there on the cusp of being fucking an amazing battle royale experience, but they're kind of fucking with it. Probably my least favorite thing, and I'm filling for time here because my God, our list is short this week. But I would say my least favorite development is that, and you've played a little bit of the game. They have self-revive kits.
Yeah,
you get down and you can self-revive on your own instead of relying on a teammate, which. Lovely. However, problem would be that they've now made it a regular drop in chests on top of being able to buy them. And so you'll go into matches where, like, in the beginning, the first 2 chests you open both have a self-revive kit in them, and so half your 4-man team is already rocking a $4,000 self-revive, and you haven't even fucking gotten your guns yet. And so, like, every fucking engagement that you're in now, it forces you to, like, the worst choice is, you know how you always used to be like, don't thirst. Don't down the guy and then waste the next 30 rounds killing him. You don't have a choice now. You down them, there's like a 90% chance they have a fucking self-revive, and so even though you know that tactically you are fucked if you dump any more ammo into this guy, you don't have a choice. You have to do it. And so there's so many, I've lost so many like 1 versus 3 fights where I've beaten the 3-man, but lost to the first guy having self-revive. Or in a 4-man squad team, having 2 of us and 4 of them, and we win the engagement definitively. But because when you're down 2 or 3 people, you can't stop to fucking smell the roses and put more fucking rounds into somebody. They get up and they shoot you in the back when you have no armor and you're fucking dead. So, like, the game has become even more of a clusterfuck. The solo experience is literally AIDS and nobody should play it for solo experience. But again, the BR market is just ass. And it's the best one currently. The new Call of Duty coming out, I played the beta of it, and the regular multiplayer for that was pretty fun. I don't know if I'd be... Like, I wish that I could say that I'd be engaged with it like I could a BR mode long term, because it gave me what I liked about Call of Duty Warzone, but with less of the fuck, and so I don't fucking know, but I keep playing it because it's all I've got, and I'll keep praying that somebody does it better, because they don't give a shit. Anyway, now that we filled up some time, Jeff, it's time to talk about video games. You ready to talk about video games?
I'm ready.
I lied to you. The first thing we're going to do is talk about AMD.
Okay, can you post the show note?
Oh, did I
you
not?
did.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
said
there we
yes.
go. I got him.
Yeah. This is real quick. The AMD 5000 series that we talked about might have even been last week, the week before, whenever they did their first announcements, like the AMD show. I think it was last week. I don't know. All the days blend together these days. The actual reviews have dropped today. Like, they're just happening as we speak. They're being posted everywhere. And so remember, the big question was, we were seeing AMD benchmarks and shit. Will they be relevant when the third-party reviewers get their hands on them? As it turns out, yes. AMD did not bullshit you. They quite literally, except for Red Dead Redemption 2, is like the one specific game that stands out as being a mild, and I mean like when you go to an American Chinese restaurant and they ask you, do you want the Chinese mild or the North American mild? This is the North American mild of victories. For the 10900K overclocked to 5.2 gigahertz for Intel, getting a marginal boost above. Everything else is AMD in gaming, it's AMD in productivity, it's AMD from a price point, it's AMD from a power draw, it's AMD everywhere, across the board. There's not even a close competition. And then what the craziest thing is that for some competitive games, some of the bigger ones, like let's say CSGO, which as we all know, we talked about here on the podcast in the past, is kind of like this, I don't want to call it the sleeper esport, but the shit's like the grandfather of esports at this point. And it's getting bigger. Like, it keeps like slowly climbing into the upper ends of things. Games like that or Valorant, which is basically CSGO, super single core dependent and DirectX 9 based, the frame rate boost in these chips versus Intel is massive. We're talking the 1% lows frame rates in the, let's say, 5900X is the same as the average frame rate of the 10900K. Which is fucking bonkers. I mean, you're getting people with like, I think the test systems of the 3080 and the 5900X were getting like 700 plus frames per second in Valorant. Literally eye-bleeding speeds. And now with NVIDIA's new 360 Hz monitors coming out, the guys that really want every fucking frame possible, which are the Valorant players and the CSGO players and the players where like a millisecond is the difference between an op shot to the head and surviving, are going to be building AMD machines probably for the first time ever. And that was a major market for Intel because what has Intel been driving home forever? If you want the best gaming performance, you build Intel. Yeah, you might be able to spend a few less dollars and your Photoshop or whatever fucking experience will be better in multitasking over there on Team Red, but on Team Blue, you want a game? You come play Intel. Unfortunately for Intel, that is literally no longer the case, and by no small margin. So, and again, for less money and less power. So they're winning on zero fronts. So it's a bit of a grand slam kind of year for AMD right now with these chips. They're already sold out fucking everywhere. I looked online today. They're gone. And I don't know when you're ever going to fucking see them. You might get lucky in a couple more weeks when the next wave comes through. But the really impressive thing about this for the gaming perspective before we move on, because it's really as simple as if you're building a PC now, you're building AMD, and if you don't, you're fucking stupid. That's literally it. You're wasting money. You're burning it. Take it out of your pocket, light it for fire, and warm your hands for 5 minutes. You've now made better use of your money than buying an Intel system right now. All the way down the stack for AMD at this 5000 series, including the 5600, which will be like a $300 or less fucking processor. It's like the lower end, like the 3600, which is below what you've got right now. Even that basically trades blows with the highest end Intel shit, but runs way less power for way less money. And if you stick a GPU in it and you're playing it like the vast majority of people playing games, not just playing CSGO, and even in that, it crushes it anyway. It's hand over fist. So Intel's response to this is unfortunately nothing right now. And in fact, we already know when their closest response to this is likely going to happen. They have a sort of refresh coming in the next few months that's likely to do not a hell of a lot and probably cost a lot of money, and we know requires a new motherboard. So if you're already rocking Intel and you want to get the marginal improvements out of Intel, you're buying a brand new chipset from top to bottom just to plug this mediocre fucking processor into it. You're not getting 7 nanometer, which is where AMD is, until 2023 earliest from Intel. AMD has literally a over 2-year window of dominance with no competition. That in fucking computer terms, that's like 20 years. You're in a fucking different, you're in a different generational gap at that point. So, well done, AMD. Congratulations. You've officially fucked on Intel. You did it, and you only took, like, I don't know, 5 years to somehow miraculously turn it around. Everyone in that company deserves some sort of fucking epic raise. And I look forward to seeing whatever the fuck happens next. I don't even know where they go from here. But I'm looking forward to it. And I really look forward to what we talked about last week, AMD's graphics cards, which when you pair them with AMD processors, get that extra like 5 or 6 plus to 11% boost on top of that. So they're just crushing it right now. And well done for making it happen. I'm excited. So Mr. Black, for you, just to bring this for you, you've got a 3700X in your PC right now. Your motherboard costs more than the processor by miles. You're currently rocking. And so for you, you don't have to buy a new motherboard. You can just go out and get a 5900X or a 58 or a 56 or a 5950 and plug it in, and you literally like triple your performance just for putting that fucking processor in. Just to put it in perspective for you. No other parts need to be swapped. You plug a new CPU in, don't even have to reinstall Windows, all of a sudden you're literally going from a fucking Toyota Corolla to a fucking Ferrari in very little effort. So, very impressive indeed. Can I palm a basketball? Yes. Not well at this time because I've got the hands of a baby right now. No grip strength. Now for actual game news, Jeff.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 16, which we saw a little bit of a while back now. We have new key art for it, which is basically, give or take, what you're probably going to see for the cover of the game itself on the disc case. And for those who are interested, I didn't write it down to give a dissertation on it, but for those interested in some of the new information that they released on the world of Final Fantasy 16, as well as the characters, some of the characters anyway, like the ones that we've seen in the trailers up to this point, they have it on the website now. So they're starting to like release some lore, some character background, get you, acquainted with the new characters and whatnot. So if you're interested in that, you're following Final Fantasy 16 closely, then that's the place to get it. You go on over to their main website, check it out. From what I heard of it and read of it, to summarize it, it's basically Game of Thrones Final Fantasy Edition.
Cool.
And with the one thing I'd say the standout thing is that they're not naming their characters these crazy fucking names. It's like Bob, Susie. It's like fucking like plain ass names.
Jeff. Nobody
is going to forget the names of these characters. They're plain ass names. And so yeah, I mean I'm mildly excited for this insofar as that the people doing the combat, while it's not my favorite form of Final Fantasy combat, it's at least a pedigree of people working on it, the Devil May Cry folks, that make good action combat. And so if it's going to go action combat, at least they have the people involved that are likely to make the action combat good. Is there anything that a Final Fantasy game can do to get you interested in Final Fantasy again after you had played? Did you ended up playing Remake at some point, didn't you? Or have you played that yet?
No,
you
I still haven't played it.
No,
I still haven't played it. And I'm in no rush. I'm out of Final Fantasy.
You've checked out. Pokemon out. Final Fantasy out.
I'm gone, man. They lost me a long time ago.
What was it that got you out the game? What was the as an old school Final Fantasy guy who obviously has a big heart for 7, 8, 9 probably, or would be like that core group. What was it that got you? What was the thing that where you looked at it and said, you know what, this ain't for me anymore?
I don't know. I don't think it's just one specific thing. I mean, my priorities also changed, like in terms of, I became a streamer, so I didn't have time to play the games as they were coming out. Like I did play 13. I actually enjoyed 13. I didn't hate it.
As the series went on, I grew to appreciate 13 in ways I didn't think I would.
I didn't hate 13. I actually enjoyed 13 a decent amount. 15 didn't do it for me. It felt not what I like. It's hard to explain, but I just couldn't get it connected with characters. I don't know, man. I can't really pinpoint it to one thing. It's just Final Fantasy's just lost its magic for me. I'm not saying that they're bad games, because I'm sure if you're an RPG head and you're a JRPG head, I'm sure they're good games. Like in comparison to other JRPGs out there, probably the best. But I just had fallen out of love with those types of games. I just have. And I'm not sure what it's going to take to get me back in, but I probably won't play Final Fantasy 16. So no.
I know 15.
I don't really play any games. I don't play.
That's true.
It's not just Final Fantasy. Like I don't want to sound like a Final Fantasy hater.
Yeah.
The remake of 7 obviously gets me the most excited. I'm far more likely to play that than what I will any other new game, especially as more episodes come out for this Final Fantasy 7 remake. But it's just games in general, and we've gone over it before, so I won't rehash it. But I just don't feel the same way about gaming. So yeah.
I would say 15 for me was, it felt, I don't know, maybe I can hit on some points that sound right to you. For me, 15 felt like the McDonald's of Final Fantasy. It's commercial as fuck. And I don't just say that because it literally had Amex commercials, Coleman Stove commercials, and an entire quest line dedicated to Cup Noodle. So in the literal sense, it was commercial, but it felt commercial in how it was displayed. It was kind of like somebody who had an appreciation for Final Fantasy at a high level decided they wanted to set out and make it, but wanted to just make it in the modern, like modernize it. But like modernize it in that kind of commercial way, not in a we love video games kind of way, but we love how much money video games can make us kind of way. That's what Final Fantasy 15 felt like to me when I played it. And like my biggest disappointment with it was that there were one or two moments in that game that were really fucking amazing, and they completely ruined it by commercializing it. Like the points that I've said before, where so Ignis, Prompto, and Gladiolus, your three companions, the boy band brothers, all three of them at different points in the game disappear at some point, and then they come back. And Noctis, the main character who you're playing, asks them individually in conversation, "Yo, so where were you?" And the responses every time were, "Don't worry about it." And when I played the game, I remember saying on stream, I was like, guys, they're going to make all of that shit individual DLC to find out what those three guys were up to. And that's why they're saying, don't worry about it. Even though it's like a main character literally fucking off with no reasoning for that long, coming back. And sure as shit, 3 DLCs. One of which barely made it out because the game was failing so hard on every one of them. And so that was what 15 was to me. It was like the McDonald's of Final Fantasy. There was no heart left in it. It was just pure, formulaic, modernized gaming shit.
JRPG porn.
Yeah. 16 at least looks like there's a little bit more heart in it at this point. And we can say that because, like we've said in the past, Yoshi P is the guy who saved Final Fantasy 14 from death and made it the second only to World of Warcraft, which is no small fucking feat. That man being attached to the project obviously has a lot of people excited, and at the very least tells me that there's a better chance that somebody in there, at the very least, has some love for video games, some real love for Final Fantasy, and it could produce a legitimate Final Fantasy game the first time since, well, for me, probably Final Fantasy somewhere between 10 and 12. 13 I didn't hate, but it was the 13 was the beginning of the linear Final Fantasy fuckery. Yeah. The straight line map shit. And no matter how much there was some promise there, that's kind of what 13 became. So, yeah, we'll see. Right now, though, for those interested, once again, Game of Thrones, basically, Final Fantasy Edition is what I'm calling it for now. That might change as time goes on, but that's what I'm seeing for now. Head on over to the main website. You'll be able to check out the stuff on the individual characters that they've released to this point, and the world itself. And then that sweet key art. If there's one thing Final Fantasy does always have, though, it's dope art. They pay good artists for Final Fantasy. It's just the way she goes. Next up, Far Cry 6 and Rainbow Six Quarantine, ironically the last one there, will both be delayed. For coronavirus reasons, the development has obviously slowed dramatically on both of those bad boys. And not just a little bit. Some of these coronavirus delays we've been seeing this year have been like, a couple months here and there. These are some substantial delays from what I'm seeing. And it's substantial enough that it's almost one of those things where you think, this is probably not the last delay that we're going to see from at least one of these two titles. So they are now slated to arrive sometime between, this is a window, April 2021, so April of next year, and March of 2022. So they're pushing it months out earliest, and then like another year and a bit on the long tail. And so I wouldn't get excited about those right now. I would say assume 2022.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you get excited about Far Cry to begin with.
Far Cry is literally the McDonald's of video games right now.
Far Cry has been identical since Far Cry 3, and it has been so boring on so many levels. The games all look the same. They all play the same.
They all try and have the new Voss.
It's literally like Assassin's Creed. Change the skins and play the same fucking game.
The last Assassin's Creed game was the first to actually kind of like get away from Assassin's Creed to the point where I don't even know how you call it Assassin's Creed anymore. It's like they knew that if they kept with the formula, they were gonna they were fucked. But it is very similar in that degree. But I mean, Far Cry is the same game since 3. Like,
yes.
And the thing that always made me laugh is that they continuously try and recreate Voss as a villain. Far Cry 4 did it, Far Cry 5 did it, and Far Cry 6, sure as shit, probably going to do the same thing.
Probably going to have Voss in it.
But oh no, wait a minute. Didn't we talk about this before where Voss, I think, was the kid in the
yes.
trailer?
Yes.
Like, come on, man. Come on. Yeah. So yeah. That was bound to happen, but they are delayed like many other titles. So whether you were excited for them or not, you're not seeing them for a while. Next up, EA was fined €10 million. Not that that's a lot of money, but it's more about the precedent than anything. Fined €10 million in the Netherlands over their loot box practices. So we had talked about this being the case for EA a couple times before. Mostly in Europe, where right now anyway, and that's changing in North America at the moment. That's going to happen here too, where they're investigating these loot boxes in games because, as we've discussed on the podcast in the past as well, especially for the young kids that are playing a lot of these, like FIFA, which is like the elephant in the room. They've got like a casino that just so happens to have soccer in the game, or NBA 2K21, same thing. Just so happen to have basketball, pretty much casino, but you can occasionally play some basketball on the side, if you so choose. And so they were fined. This is under their law. The maximum for any individual one is 5 million. So they got 2 instances of it. So if you're wondering why it wasn't like a lot more for the, what the money that EA is making off of this shit, that's why they can't color outside the lines of their own legal work. So basically EA's defense was there's no scientific proof to date that their practices are harming people in any way, and the court said that's some shit. But
there is scientific proof.
There is. It's just not specific to your case. But they said essentially the court maintains that it isn't necessary to have scientific proof that every new game of chance causes problems, because for them the Betting and Gaming Act is based on the assumption that all games of chance carry with them a risk of gambling addiction. That has been basically outright proven. So why, they're not going to start a new fucking multi-year generational study every time somebody comes out with a slightly new variation of a game of chance.
No.
It's addictive. It's just plain and simple. And when you put it in front of kids, well, now you get an even bigger problem. So good on them. I can't wait for that shit to be more popular over here too in the courts, where they start to get a little bit more clamped down on them as well. Again, it's not necessarily about the money right now that they're being fined so much as the precedent set in court that EA lost it. That's kind of the more important thing here. But yeah, obviously that's the case. It's crazy. They should back off on that shit without question. Next up, No Man's Sky. Didn't get fined 10 million, but what they did do is release another update. This one, a bit more minor than the last, and it's mostly what it's doing is, other than a couple of minor improvements graphically on the PC, this was the patch to bring up for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S to a degree, and bring those consoles, the new consoles, pretty much up to speed with the PC. So the same number of multiplayer people can be involved at 32. All of the graphic improvements have been ported over to the new consoles as well. The loading times have been basically chopped down to next to nothing. All that kind of stuff, all brought to the next gen consoles. And the visual difference, they have a video of it. They'll show you what it looks like on the consoles. For console players, this is like if you're moving to a PS5 or an Xbox Series X and you're a big player of No Man's Sky, this is like a fucking. You just went to the optometrist because your parents said your headaches come from not having glasses, and you're like, no, I can see fine. And then you go and you get your eyes tested, and then they hand you your glasses. You put your glasses on, you look outside the fucking door into the real world, and you're like, fuck, huh? And your brain doesn't even know what to do with the information. It's like fucking, it's like too much. It's so high def that your brain is like processing that there are leaves and not just an amorphous blob as a tree. That's pretty much what you're seeing between the two. Because the old consoles, obviously, the hardware was not holding up, but now this new stuff is obviously much better, and it looks substantially better, and runs substantially better as well. So that's what that update was all about. And of course, porting your stuff between the consoles is not a problem. It's easy peasy. Next up, in Call of Duty news, as I talked about earlier, Cold War. So people were kind of hoping, Mr. Black, that after the debacle of the current Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, being too big for a 250 gig solid-state drive, which boggles the mind to this day. They were like, man, maybe Cold War will bring that number back down. The answer's no. It too, if you're going to run 4K textures, and you're going to have Warzone installed, along with the rest of the game, is a 250 plus gig commitment. However, much like the current version of Modern Warfare, you at least have the opportunity to select the sections of the game that you want to install. So you want just normal multiplayer? That's like 50 gigs. You want it we're normal territory now. You want to get Warzone in the full 4K experience? Remortgage your home, bigger hard drives, maybe an apartment dedicated to the game. Get involved. But hey, I get this. You know what? Honestly, other than the fact that these games are obviously horribly optimized because they're on engines that are fucking almost as old as Bethesda's engines at this point. And the spaghetti code is fucking strong. This is the trend you're going to see with games in general. We're getting into the 4K generation.
Yeah.
4K textures are not small.
Get used to this.
They're fucking huge.
Yeah.
Uncompressed audio that everyone wants for their fancy at-home, sound systems and shit.
Massive.
Massive. You want that DTS or that Dolby Atmos? You're going to pay for it in hard drive space, is basically what you're going to see. So, just be ready for that. And that will bring us to another topic here below, not long after this. We're going to get to that real soon about the storage requirements and as it pertains to the new consoles. Riot announced with a trailer, Mr. Black. We've talked about in the past that they've been doing multiple different genres. We had Valorant was one. They had those different projects that they had like letters associated with them or whatever. So they had like the first person shooter with Valorant, and they had there was a dungeon crawler looking one and stuff like that. So they've got one that they did the announcement trailer for now called Ruined King, a League of Legends story, which has their official trailer. No gameplay really, just the classic League of Legends anime art style. It's a single-player, turn-based RPG, which is a pretty substantial shift, both away from first-person shooter and Valorant and League of Legends itself. Obviously closer to League of Legends than it would be a first-person shooter, but while there might be this information around, I don't know more about it than the fact that it is a first-person RPG, turn-based, and so I have to make the assumption then that it's also similar to some of the old, like D&D based games. The top-down perspective, that isometric view type shit, with the dice rolls and the whole 9 yards. Why not? That's that genre is making a bit of a comeback right now.
Yeah.
So why not get involved in that? I'm just happy to see Riot spending their money on more than just League of Legends.
Oh, I think they almost got to. I think they're still making $1 bajillion, but I mean, how long can this really go?
You don't want to wait until it starts going down before you start fighting it.
Yeah.
You want
to ideas, see what sticks. Wait for your next big hit, and then ride that train. That seems like that's what they're doing.
And this is like, unlike Valorant, this is obviously directly tied to League of Legends. So you're playing. The premise of this one is that you are playing characters from Bilgewater, which if you know the lore, you'll know the characters that you're likely going to be playing with there, largely. And I'm intrigued because I want to see, because what's intriguing about this whole process to me with Riot is that we're seeing a wide range of genres here. We're not seeing them lock themselves into a specialty. They're building their teams out to do and tackle multiple substantially different genres. So it's not like a Blizzard where you saw it was the RTS, full stop, for all intents and purposes, other than Hearthstone, which was, mostly in that same wheelhouse. You're tackling some, at this point, I'm waiting for a kart racer. Mario Kart Riot Edition. You can play Ziggs.
League of Kart Racing.
Yes. Like Riot Kart, League of Legends story. Fuck it, I'd play it.
Yeah, I'd try it out.
I'd play it. In a recent talk, Todd Howard has stated that while they are still using the same engine, which hurts me to say that sentence, Jeff. It pains me to let that leave my lips. That they are still going to use the same engine. Regardless, Todd Howard, in a recent talk, has stated that while they are still using the same engine that drove Morrowind and Oblivion at its core, The overhaul, this is a quote now, direct quote, the overhaul on our engine is probably the largest we've ever had. Maybe even, there's a lot of ambiguity here, probably and maybe, but probably, probably the largest we've ever had. Maybe even larger than the shift that they had between Morrowind and Oblivion. Which, to be fair, was a pretty fucking massive leap, generationally speaking. So if you saw Skyrim and then up and compared that to Morrowind and Oblivion's leap in the engine difference, I mean, that's a pretty fucking substantial difference.
Yeah.
However, it's still the same fucking engine. And while I can only hope that they don't have the same bugs that they did in Morrowind that they've had in Skyrim and Fallout 4 and all the Fallout 76, I feel like it's still going to be there, Jeff. It's just going to be prettier and slightly better animations, but the janky classic bugs that we've come to expect of Bethesda games, I feel like we're still going to be seeing the same shit.
100%.
It also seems
it is what it is.
It also seems that, judging by the talks they were having, that Starfield still seems to be in the production queue ahead of the Elder Scrolls 6. So, I guess you can still expect that to be the order of operations. We saw some leaked possibility Starfield, images several weeks back now, but in all honesty, they look generic as shit. I don't know. They need to hit 17 home runs on it. They need some Barry Bonds on the juice. They need some Mark McGwire in the 1996-1997 home run championship type shit. They need to fucking crush that ball into the stratosphere. They need to be playing a game of backyard catch with God and throwing it into the clouds. That is how epic Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 needs to be to pull themselves back from the brink that is their last showing of Fallout 76 and the general feeling people have after those two titles. So I don't know if using the same engine is the answer for that. They've made so much money off of Fallout 76, which I can't imagine cost them more than $4 to make, that I thought for sure, ages ago I told myself, I said, you know what? Maybe this is their play, Mr. Black. Maybe their play is that they're going to make Fallout 76 with, they're going to reuse the assets from Fallout 4. No new money involved there. Very little effort. Then they're going to sell back those assets to people as costume upgrades and shit for their characters in Fallout 76. Instant money. Huge margins. Just monstrous. And they know that their community is going to buy this game and spend copious amounts of money, regardless of how shit it is. They know.
Yes.
And so I thought maybe, with the fact that they've been using the same engine and shit and been producing the same shit since Fallout 4, that they'd be able to then churn all of that epic margin around and create a new engine for the dawn of the new series of games coming from them, starting with Starfield, because that's the first new intellectual property out of Bethesda in that regard in ages. So maybe this is the one. Big ass space game needs a new engine. And we're going to take that and what we learn in a game that's not as risky for us, and then take all we learn and put that into Elder Scrolls 6 and knock it out of the fucking park. And instead, what did we get? They milked everyone for all they were worth with the shittiest AAA title ever produced. And then they used the same engine for Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6.
Hey, but Adam, it's getting a large overhaul. Maybe, possibly. That's the scariest part about that sentence. Is the two words that he chose to use there is probably and maybe. Yeah.
That tells you everything you need to know. He didn't say definitively.
Oh, hell no, he didn't. Hell no, he didn't. If that was the case, he'd be like, guys, we don't got a new engine, but I'm going to tell you right now, we overhauled this bitch. And you'd think we did. It's that crazy. But no. It's probably the largest overhaul yet. And maybe even larger. And the Morrowind to the Oblivion. I mean, you guys remember that and how awesome that was. So it may be even larger than that, but we'll find out.
I mean, Todd Howard will probably wear a leather bomber jacket on the next E3 stage.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it'll be different from the one he wore the year previously.
Maybe.
It's quite possible. And word on the street is, Jeff, that all hands on deck, every single development house under Bethesda, all working on Todd Howard's next leather bomber jacket for the E3 stage.
It's important.
It's time to talk about the next-gen consoles, Jeff. The reviews for the Xbox started to come out today. The embargoes have lifted, and everyone is plastering the internet with their reviews of the first next-gen console to hit the market. With that being said, I'll get to that because there's not much new information because Xbox has been so fucking open about everything that the reviews don't really reveal a hell of a lot more than we already knew. But what we did get today is some PlayStation 5 news that was either intentionally released at the same day that all the embargo shit would be released on the Xbox in the hopes that maybe it gets buried or not. I don't know, because none of it was really particularly positive news, so I don't know what the play was here. But either way, the PlayStation 5 will not natively support 1440p as a resolution. Now, while it is 100% true that the majority of people that are playing console games are plugging this into a TV, there are loads of people that plug it into their computer monitor because they have their computer and everything at their one little station, and they plug it all into the monitor, and they just change the fucking input, and they play their consoles or whatever, you know, especially with monitors getting bigger and bigger. A lot of people using 27-inch monitors, 32-inch monitors. You get this nice little combo of playing your PC games, playing your console games, especially if you can't dedicate a living room space or whatever to the TV or what have you. Some people go in the reverse of using a TV for a PC monitor as well. Both of those have their trade-offs. So the other thing is that there are a not insignificant number of TVs now that also support 1440p and higher refresh rate options. So like 100 hertz, 120 hertz, 1440p as an option on a TV. And with these new consoles coming, where 4K 60 or whatever is not necessarily always going to be an option in games, having the ability to have native 1440 for some of the panels that you might already have in your house is a useful function. PlayStation has decided to not bother with 1440p, so just as a heads up, if you're somebody who does or did plan on playing on, because I already had like a few people message me today specifically when this news came out about the fact that they had just purchased for their gaming setup a couple of 1440p monitors for their PC and their consoles, and then they got this news, and I was like, well, you're fucked. It's not if it was a PlayStation, you're not going to get it. So you're not going to get 1440p.
They can still use the monitors.
But what they're doing is they're not getting 1440. They're getting 1080 that will get upscaled to 1440. So you can still use them, but you're not going to get your monitor's native resolution in that regard. It's not the end of the world. It's just a very odd choice with these next-gen consoles, knowing what the market looks like currently to not have it. Is it something that they might be able to, in the future with firmware, just say it now supports it? More than likely, yes. But it was just a very odd thing because it doesn't, I don't see how it would hurt them to support it. So I just don't understand what their thought process behind that was. But just be warned, if you do have that, if you're in that scenario, you will be doing 1080p upscaled to 1440. And since not all 1440p high refresh rate monitors support higher than 60 hertz over HDMI at 1080p, just be aware of that situation. In relation to that, we finally have, now that people have their hands on these consoles, we have a firm idea of the actual usable storage in all of the consoles at this point. So we talked about in the past the varying sizes of the hard drives that all of them have, and what that may or may not present as a problem for some people who like to hoard games like crazy. Well, we now know. So originally we knew that the PlayStation 5 was already at a bit of a disadvantage in that their hard drive was 825, I think it was, gigabytes, versus the flat 1 terabyte on the Series X. So we knew that going in there was going to be a discrepancy there, because as soon as you add the operating system and all that shit on top, you're not going to get the full 825 or the 1 terabyte, which just based on how the storage numbers work, you wouldn't in the first place. So the real storage that people are seeing now, I'll give you an idea. So on the PS5, you're looking at what will essentially be somewhere in the neighborhood of 667 gigs of usable space on the main hard drive. That will run you somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 7 or 8 AAA titles, as they are currently. That number will probably get a bit smaller as the life of the console goes on, because game sizes will get bigger. But for now, I would say that you're looking at probably, between 5 and 8 would be my guess. The only unfortunate part in that regard for people who might want to load up that hard drive is that at launch anyway, the NVMe expansion slot on the bottom of the console isn't actually active yet, and won't be active for, we don't know when that's going to be active. Probably sometime in the new year, I think Cerny was saying would likely be the case. So out of the gate, if for whatever reason you were somebody who was hoping to load up like a bunch of PlayStation 4 Pro games or whatever onto the console and not just like port over from an external drive, you don't have any expansion options right now. You're just going to have to kind of wait that bad boy out. So I don't know. I'll talk about the other ones first before I give my thoughts on this. So the Series S is actually the elephant in the room of all three of these consoles, because the Series S had the 512 gig hard drive, which means it has 364 gigs of usable space for the user. That's like a handful of games for sure, and since it's not doing 4K gaming, it will get, probably the ratio of games it will be able to install is probably not dramatically different, but 364 gigs of usable space on any next-gen console is pretty bad. I mean, that's a fucking small amount of space. Now for the Series X, you're looking at 802 gigs. So of all the three, the Series X is giving you, by a relatively decent margin of a little over 100 gigs, 140 gigs almost, the most room. So you're going to get another couple, 2 to 3 games out of that. Here's my deal with all this. And it was similar to when we were first talking about the storage stuff before. I don't think any of these next-gen consoles, especially the big ones, the S is its own special thing. I think the S should be a terabyte. And I think the X and the PS5 should be 2 terabytes each. With the size of games as they are, and with the cost of drives, I understand they're using very expensive next-gen storage for these bad boys. But it is painful to go in to the next generation and know that you have, for all intents and purposes, regardless of the speed of the drives, the same or far less storage than you did in the generation previous. It's going to be, I will be interested to see in 5 years from now how many people, for example, are forced to go and buy expansion cards. Because they just want to be able to install more than 4 or whatever games at a time. But either way, these are all pretty small. I mean, you can get cell phones with flash storage with fucking damn near that much space or more. So I don't know how I feel about it personally. But the PS5 at 600 and something, that's pretty rough. I mean, versus the Series X, you're literally down 140 gigs. But it's the same price. The console's the same price. The PS5 is also 20% slower from the graphics perspective than the Xbox, but it's the same price. But here's the real thing though, and this is the reality of the situation. Neither of them really, but the PlayStation does have the leg up here. There are no fucking games. All of this is moot. It's kind of whatever. The Series X reviews are glowing. Everyone is sucking the dick dry of the Xbox Series X. It runs cool. It plays all of your games faster at higher resolutions and higher refresh rates. Or higher frame rates, I should say. With automated HDR in some titles. It plays with all of your old controllers from the previous generation, so you don't have to spend more money on that. It's smaller and easier to fit into your entertainment system than the competitors. But as nice as that is, and it's like I said, it's more powerful and has more storage. But Jeff, where the fuck are the games? Their entire marketing campaign is that it does play the old games faster and prettier. But they're old games. So, who are you selling this console to right now? Other than people who don't have a PC, I guess, who want to be able to replay games they've likely already played, but at a better frame rate and higher resolution. How big is that market? And the PlayStation doesn't get away with much better in that regard. They've got Demon Souls, and I mean that would be the only that's like the only real one that a lot of people are talking about that is close to a proper next gen title. And so, who are they selling these consoles to right now? Who buys a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X? I could see an S for some people who are just getting into the market, dipping their toes in the water, maybe, just from a price perspective. But who's buying these consoles, Mr. Black? I mean, they're flying off the shelves, obviously, but is that just people like that just want to be, they just have it? Because what are they going to do with these consoles? So, like, who are they selling these consoles to?
People that are buying the next iPhone. I mean,
it's the new.
It's the new. It's the new. You know? Fucking Kayla wants a new iPhone for Christmas or whatever. And I look at her, I go,
but why?
Why? Your iPhone fucking whatever you have now, 9X, I don't know. I actually don't know. But whatever one you have is going to do what the other one does, except the other one might take a little bit better pictures.
Slightly.
So why am I spending $1,000+ again? Why? Well, the answer is, Adam,
Because it's the new.
because it's the new. It's shiny. It makes me feel good for 15 minutes when I first get it. I get to unbox it and I feel like I'm in the in crowd. I have something to tweet out and put on Instagram. The gram.
Doing it for the gram.
Yeah, the people are going to buy their Xboxes. They're going to buy their PlayStations. They're going to play their old games. They're going to go, why in the fuck did I buy this when I got no fucking games to play? They're probably 80% of them are going to say that exact sentence.
In like the first 5 days of owning the console.
Yes. But they're going to still use it. They're going to play their old games. They're going to boot up their Spotify and their Twitch streams on it and their Netflix. And they're just going to use it like they did all the other stuff. So, yeah. And as for the hard drive, it doesn't fucking matter. There's no games.
Yes. Yeah.
And there ain't no games for a while. We're in the middle of Corona season. Ain't nothing coming out. And when something does come out, it's going to be like one game in a year and a half. So you're not going to have to worry about getting another hard drive or your poor little 667 gigs being used up. You're going to have plenty of space. So cry me a fucking river. It's like, hey.
It's like oddly convenient for them that there are no games to fucking come out, so that the hard drives like somehow aren't as big of a deal because you have no fucking games to play. It's like in a normal release window where you, even for the last generation, both consoles had between 3 and 5 proper next generation specific games launching with both. This generation, you've got the biggest talked about game is a remaster of a fucking like decade old game.
Yes.
And nothing else.
Yes.
And everyone, and the biggest talking point of the Xbox is the fact that you play your old shit better because there's nothing new to play. And so the PlayStation's entire marketing campaign is come play Demon's Souls for like 2 years. And then on the Xbox side, it's come play our entire catalog that you've probably already played for 2 years.
Yeah, Game Pass.
Game Pass. Come get some.
Yeah, this is the most. I don't even have my PlayStation 5 pre-ordered. I don't care. What am I running out for? I guess Demon's Souls. Yeah, it looks fucking great. If I can get my hands on a console and Demon's Souls, I'll pick one up. But I sure as shit ain't gonna be scouring the internet, paying 4 times the market rate, or 2 times the market rate, or 7 times the market rate, so I can get another iPhone, essentially. I can wait. Some people can't. I can. And it's really that simple. So it is a very unexciting time. This is the most unexcited I've seen the public, myself, in terms of the next generation.
Which is unfortunate because from a hardware perspective, it's like the biggest leap we've ever had, but there's no games.
No games. So, there are some people that are fucking jazzed and pumped about, having the new thing and just knowing that it's here. It feels more real. But at the end of the day, like, where are the first party titles? Every console I can think of that I've purchased all the way since Super Nintendo have had their first party titles and their trademark games come with the console. Something. Even if you're not a fan of Super Mario, which you've got to be a different breed of human to at least not enjoy that. But say, for example, Halo, right? Even if you're not a Halo fan, at least there was something coming with the console that had people talking and excited. There ain't fuck all. There ain't nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. The closest thing we got is Cyberpunk, which went gold It ain't coming out yet. It's fucked. And the funny thing about it is I think coronavirus helped these cocksuckers. Because even if the coronavirus didn't hit, there wasn't shit coming anyway. At least now there's an excuse.
Yeah.
There wasn't nothing coming.
True. Yeah.
So, it's an exciting time from a hardware standpoint. It's an exciting time because, like, finally the consoles are performing better than the PCs. It's only going to last for so long before the PC goes, sup.
Well, it's already saying sup. It's just you have to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. But from a standpoint from dollars to hardware, I mean, you're getting
it's night and day.
It's night and day. Like you can't even compare. And we've done it here on the podcast. So, it's an amazing time hardware wise, but there's no software to go with it. There's no applications. I mean, what a very fast startup screen we have here. I just love the way the game jumps right into the gameplay. Wait, there's no gameplay. There's nothing. We have nothing. So I'm not saying you can't get excited about this in another year or 2 years. It's almost going to be like we're going to have 2 releases of the consoles. Like we're going to have this. And then in about another year and a half, 2 years, we're going to have like an official release of the Xbox and PlayStation where people go, okay, you're going to see a massive uptick in sales when they actually come out with some games to get people excited, running out to the stores and going out and buying the shit. Because right now, you're basically like those testers that grabbed an Oculus when they first came out. You're like, man, these dev kits, it's amazing to have one of these. These are, man, VR is fucking amazing. It's the future, bro. But then you got to like be a software engineer and like know 3 different types of script in order to get a game to play. And then you get a game to play and you realize it's just a tech demo that you also need to be a scientific genius to get running. And then you play it and it's like, ooh, it's impressive. But I think I'm just going to kind of wait for the next model where I can plug it in and go. That's what this feels like. And for some, that's exciting. You get your hands on it. You can, be the first ones to fuck around with it and be the cool kids. Or you could be like me, where it's just like, meh.
I gotta be honest, Jeff. I gotta be honest here. If I was in the market right now, if I had a PS4 Pro or regular PS4, or an Xbox Series X or an Xbox One or whatever the fuck, and you're looking at the pipeline for new games that are really going to benefit from these new consoles, and how many of those are likely going to be something that you're even interested in, you're looking at 2 years before the Series X gets a game that is properly, definitively 100% from the ground up built to make every last fucking ounce of power out of it, make it work. Because they're going to be building for previous gen at the same time. And until you take that fucking yoke off the back of developers, you're never going to have it be 100% what you should have expected from day fucking one. And I've said this before, every new console generation should have a minimum of 1 to 3 bangers that are just visually, they don't even have to be a good game. You have to get people excited about the fucking hardware and not just talk about it on a piece of paper. Right? We're not really getting that. And so for people, this would be my suggestion. Honestly, you're looking at a 2-year period. If you can salt away between now and the end of, like a year from now, or 2 years from now, if you can salt away between $1,000 and $1,500 in that period, that almost 2-year period, wait for computer part sales wait for shit to like just roll through and just slowly in the background accumulate your new PC. And then slap in a fucking graphics card at the tail end of her. And then when it's all said and done, you were gonna shit all over these two consoles. And you're gonna spend more money, but you're doing it over a period of fucking time where you won't likely notice a damn difference anyway. Unless you're somebody who wants to sit on the couch, which is 100%, we talked about this in the past, couch gaming is still life. At the end of the day. It's fucking life. That is where gaming happens, is on the fucking couch as far as I'm concerned. If you're looking to get the most utility and the most games, especially with Game Pass being on the PC, that's probably your ultimate play. If you're somebody who just wants to sit on the couch and do their thing, then yeah, 100%. Hop in on one of these bad boys. But don't pay scalper prices. You're not missing the boat on anything. Even there's literally nothing that's coming for at least a year minimum to go and buy that shit. Just wait. Wait it out. That's all there is to it. Next up. Reviews are starting to, that was the reviews for the Series X, sorry. That was basically what I also said, where basically it's just there's no games. It's what we just talked about. That was it. Everything else about it, the reviews, fire. I suspect PlayStation 5, probably going to be the same thing. Nobody's going to have any major complaints. Very strong console. Awesome. Unfortunately, no games. Do you like playing Demon Souls? No? You don't need a console. And then this is a real banger right here. Following in the footsteps of Facebook, which we've talked about as well here in the past for this specific thing, Spotify is now offering better reach and algorithm muscle to those artists who give up even more of their cut on the platform. So just like on Facebook, essentially, where Jeff and I, if we wanted to make sure that our podcast going live announcement gets out to everyone that follows our Facebook page, we gotta pay like $15 minimum to get access to like 30% more of our own subscribers on Facebook. Spotify is coming out and saying, hey, we heard you guys think our algorithm is shit. And it's true. It is. And being an artist on Spotify is basically a giant black hole. Well, we've got a solution for you. If you allow us to take an even deeper cut of our already abysmal playback rates on Spotify, we will now give you a little bit more algorithmic muscular grunt to push your shit up the charts. Of course, the problem with that is that everyone's going to do it. Because if you don't, you're at a massive disadvantage. And therefore, if everyone's doing it, you're not getting an advantage in the first place. Because, well, everyone's fucking getting the same algorithmic boost, and you're kind of just fucking back at square one all over again. So at the end of the day, it's basically extortion. It's Spotify saying if you want to keep your positions or try to even keep your position on Spotify where you're at and have any hope, you're taking this cut or you're going to be sent to the Shadow Realm. Is pretty much where they're at. I hate this kind of shit. I hated it when Facebook did it. This is no better. I've seen a lot of artists, music artists that I follow on Twitter talking about their struggles with Spotify, specifically in terms of their revenue share for playback rates, on top of their being able to get exposed on the platform like at all is nearly impossible as it is. And to have Spotify come out and basically provide a platform that's going to not solve anything except for make Spotify even more money at the expense of artists, is kind of unfortunate. Instead of just fixing their fucking algorithm, like, oh, we'll provide some people with the key, the master key, but we're going to take even more of your money. I understand Spotify, from a business perspective, has struggled off and on to make their money in general, because the streaming business with music is not cheap to be in. It's expensive as fuck, and it's a difficult one. Spotify is pretty much just, there's iTunes and Spotify, and then everything else is kind of fucking whatever. YouTube Music maybe slots itself in there somewhere in a weird way, but ultimately you're looking at iTunes, and then you're looking at Spotify. And iTunes is more of a platform where you're buying a lot of your music than you would be necessarily streaming it. Amazon as well, I suppose, with their Amazon Music. But it's expensive, and Spotify struggled a bit. I guess this is one of their new methods for trying to up their margins in that regard. I just personally wish it didn't come at the expense of the artists, because the artists are already getting kind of boned on Spotify. I don't know what the solution is. I just wish it wasn't this. Because just like on Facebook, where it's frustrating for Jeff and I, where you sit back and you go, all right, we had all these people, and back in 2011, when we put a post up, you could see the engagement was like 80%.
Yeah. I mean, with Spotify, at least they're not.
At least not making you pay per fucking song or some shit where it's like, hey.
Like the thing, like, it's a little different than Facebook. Because with Facebook is you've already organically gathered your following. And
now they're like taking it away
to actually
access it. Yeah.
Access it.
Yeah.
That's not what they're doing on Spotify. Like Spotify, you can have your followers and your listeners. Whenever you put out new music, they will get it.
Yeah.
So it's not like that.
It's not identical, but it's a very similar arm twisting technique, just in a different way.
Spotify's just in it to make money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, yeah, I mean, there's so many artists on Spotify that, like, you know, I don't know how else they would do this.
I mean, they could just fix the algorithm and just call it a fucking day. Because it's not like if you took the money out of it, it's not like it's costing them specifically more money to have the algorithm run. It's not like there's like an overhead cost constantly moving for the algorithm to be better. It's not like they have to add more servers to make it happen.
I'm not sure it's just algorithm though. That's the thing that's like.
Well, that's what that's literally just what they've said in their statement. That's what it is.
I mean, you know, there's just millions and millions and millions of artists, and it's hard for people to be recognized, even if algorithmically the things are put in place. I mean, you can't show everybody. You just can't. It's like YouTube.
Well, it's not that. It's more about like what the algorithm pulls up. Relevant, like relevancy, like if somebody's searching something.
I mean, yeah, I actually don't hate this idea personally. And I'll probably do it for my music. You know, I have my own music on Spotify and I get paid for listens.
Yeah.
And if I'm willing to give them a little bit more of a cut to in turn get more listens, is that a bad thing?
It's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that the idea being that it's kind of advertised like it will help everyone across the board. But like I said, if like you said there, and as well, who's not going to take this, right? So
people that are already super well known, right? Like this, I think this is more for people that are up and coming artists.
I think everyone will do this shit.
I don't know, because if you're already at the top, like you're not going to see the Taylor Swifts and the Kanyes and shit give them more money. There's no point. Like when these guys release music, it's there to listen to, and already algorithmically, you could have my music and I could give them 100% and make $0. I'm not going above Kanye or Taylor Swift or, you know.
No, I don't think I would say like that echelon, but you know, like the tier that's like right below that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. They might do it as new albums are coming out and very strategically pushing your music at certain times. But to do it all the time, I don't think so. I actually don't hate the idea of this. And, you know, an artist can decide like, hey, if I'm only getting, you know, 1/10 of a cent per view or listen, and I want to take half of that, then and it's going to bring a whole new line of audience potentially to my music. That might be worth the investment to do for 1 month or for 2 weeks or whatever.
If you do in fact use it, so once it rolls out and it becomes available to you, if you do in fact use it, it would be cool to see if you do see the needle move
Yeah.
at all. So if you do it, report back in like
I will.
3 months or some shit.
I will.
Or whenever this rolls out, we'll get some time under and see if it actually does, in fact, because it would be nice if they described a little bit more in detail what benefits you're going to get from this.
Yeah.
In turn, for sure. But that would be
with Facebook, it's much more egregious. Like
Facebook's is gnarly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like with Facebook, it'd be different if we could automatically send stuff out to all of our viewers. And then if we want to pay a little bit extra to then get even more reach within the algorithm of people searching for video game related stuff on Facebook, that makes sense.
Yeah, you should be paying to go external your community.
Exactly.
Not to go within your community.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's ass backwards, right? At least with Spotify, they're not making you pay to actually send your music out to your followers. You got your followers are going to hear your shit.
Oh, that's the worst.
It's to get exposed to potential new people. And when you think about it, that's advertisement. You know, they don't owe us anything or an artist anything. You know, we put our music up there and we get paid for it. I mean, let us go back and remember a time when Spotify didn't exist. I mean, what were artists doing then? You know, all their music was getting pirated. And it still gets pirated, but I mean, like on a massive, like a way bigger level. I don't remember the last time I illegally downloaded an album because I could just go to Spotify and listen to it, and they get paid. I don't need to go to some sketchy torrent website and download some files or whatever. I just go to Spotify right now, whatever artist I want to a degree. I mean, 99%. If I want to go old or new, I just go there and I listen to it. And it's either I have a Spotify premium where I'm getting no ads, or I don't have one, so I get the occasional ad, and that's fine. And I get to listen to music. The artists need to remember the days when they were not making millions of dollars off Spotify in a year. Millions with an M. Before they were losing millions of dollars. Right? So like,
yeah, I just wish they worded it better than just saying algorithm, because you would think that if the algorithm itself is better for everyone, that Spotify makes more money and the artists make more money, because the more accurate an algorithm is at putting the right music in front of the right people looking for it, the more listens you're going to get, the more money everyone's going to make. So it just comes across as odd the way that they're promoting it, because it makes it seem like they're arm twisting instead of providing a service above and beyond what would just benefit them versus benefiting everyone.
Yeah, but I think I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't disagree, but I think ultimately they're adding this as a added benefit for artists that want to go above and beyond.
Yeah,
like they want to get exposure on a platform where everybody and their dog is on.
Yeah.
And so you can pay a little, you're not even paying, you're just taking less, which in turn you are paying. But if you're getting more views for your music, then that money that you're paying, you're actually getting back.
You're hoping to make up on volume, is essentially, and new eyeballs at the end of the day.
And this is something that you want to strategically do. Yeah. This isn't like something I don't think an artist is just going to run all the time. You know, maybe the bigger artists might do that just for namesake, but it just doesn't make sense why you would spend the money and you already have the market dominated. It's not like,
well, that'd be interesting too, is that when you find out is like what the term lengths are on this. Is it like, can you do it per song? Can you do it per album? Can you do it per chunk of time? Like you only want to run it for, let's say, like a month or some shit. Yeah,
I'm sure it's probably a bidding thing. It's no different than a voiceover site that I'm on. I have gigs on this voiceover site.
Yeah.
And, you know, just algorithmically, when people are searching for specific types of voiceovers and the tags and different things that I have in place, they get those. But they also have like promoted gigs. So, and they give those to certain partners. And, you know, I can bid essentially how much I want to pay per click. And so, you know, before that, I was still doing okay. But now that I do that, I'm making, last month I paid $17 and some change, and I made 190 off that 17. Like it'll tell you how much you paid and then where they found you and then if they ordered or whatever. It's kind of the same thing here where it's like, listen, you don't have to do it. And if you want to give more, the more you give, probably the more they push. You know what I mean? Like if you're willing to give 75% of this ad that somebody's going to listen to, then they're likely going to push you more than what the person that was willing to give 60%. So that's pretty much how it works. Does it mean you're going to lose out on your already natural promotion on the site? That's another question, right? And the answer probably is yes to a degree. Like, you got to take part, or you're probably going to be affected to some degree. And that's why I think it'd be really important for people, instead of blowing your wad, is to just, you come up with a new album, boom. Come up with a new podcast episode, boom. There's times where you want to throw that money out, and it's like me on my gig page, I can change that and exit out at any time. And, that's just how it works. That's what I'm assuming what Spotify is doing. And they're not dumb. So, and they're going to make fuck tons of money doing this. Fuck tons.
Loads of money.
Yeah.
Oh, no question. Yeah. I like my only gripe with it is what I just described before that, was just how they're promoting it and how it does, like, it just, maybe they're just promoting it poorly and it could be worded better, but it just it just comes across as anti-artist in a way that it doesn't need to be, because and maybe that's why they shouldn't use the word algorithm, because if you're improving your algorithm, everyone makes more money already. So it's like, we're going to make a better algorithm, but we're only going to let certain people use the better algorithm instead of everyone using it to, like...
Yeah, but I mean, you could also make that argument that it doesn't matter how good the algorithm is,
Yeah.
It isn't going to change your life. It's no different than YouTube. I mean, we put up stuff all the time, or I can put up stuff all the time. Just because YouTube will improve their algorithm doesn't mean I'm going to be affected at all, because everybody gets improved. It's not just one group of people or whatever. There's only so many things you can put on.
And that's why I'll be interested, like, if you're doing this and you apply it to your stuff, where I'm pretty certain,
then it's great,
Yeah, like, I'll be...
And now I'm paying for the... and now I'm paying more for the same amount of views, and now I'm just losing money. That ain't it, dog. That ain't it. Yeah. But if I'm getting any type of uptick, any type of new audience that's coming in on a regular basis, that's what we want. We want to grow. That's how you grow.
Yeah. So that will be super interesting to see what your experience with that system is like. See if you do in fact get track any better than you would normally, especially since it would be especially interesting for you because you're not putting out new music or shit all the time. So your usage case would be very similar for those who already have a catalog on Spotify. We'll see what naturally comes along for stuff already on the platform versus somebody putting out something new and applying the algorithm shit to it all the time kind of idea. So that'll be fun to see. Either way, a random phone call. I don't know who the heck that would be. They can leave a message. So that's literally all we've got. We've stretched the gaming news segment as long as it can be stretched, Jeff, which means it is time to sell out. Are you ready to sell out?
Patreon.com/LagTV. If you guys are not already Patreon supporters, head on over there, throw some money at the screen, and $10 you can get put in some questions for the tech support. And we're still kicking and doing our thing. So big shout out to everybody that's doing their thing over there. Hit the like button. I've actually noticed that our likes have gone up a lot.
Yes.
On the podcast, which is impressive.
The comments both.
Yeah, they've been crushing it. I think if we got clickbaity with thumbnails and proper titles, we might actually
that's the next stage is pay Mark an extra like $10 a week to make thumbnails.
Yeah, that might actually get us somewhere. NordVPN. Let's start off with NordVPN. If you guys don't already have a VPN service, go ahead, pick one up using the promo code OTT to get 68% off, a 2-year term, and 1 month of bonus as well, and a 30-day money-back guarantee, which means if for whatever reason the servers ain't cutting it for you, the product, whatever, get your money back, no questions asked within 30 days. You can watch different regions of Netflix. You can mask your IP so that you can protect your identity and your location, especially when you are out in public. You know, you don't want to go on public Wi-Fi's services at fucking McDonald's or your public library or wherever you're at. If you have a NordVPN, they have an app right on your phone, one click of a button, and it can mask your IP. You can hook these up to your computer, your Mac, your smart TV, your phones. They've got an app virtually for everything, and it's super easy to set up. You can stream on the servers. You can game on the servers. You can stream and game on the servers. They're the best in the business. You've probably seen them around everywhere because they are good. They really are good. Adam's been using them for years. I've now been using them for about a year and a half. I've had no problems whatsoever. If I run into a slower server, it's as easy as clicking on another one, and boom, you're going to find one within 2 minutes tops. That's going to do what you want to do. And my biggest thing that I love about NordVPN is the Netflix regions. Whenever there is something out in the US, whether it's an old movie, a new show, something that we don't have in Canada, I just click one button and my Netflix thinks I'm in the US and I can watch US content. It's just like that. So for that alone, and you're paying less than the cup of Grande Cinnamon Dolce Latte a month at Starbucks, you're basically getting 2 versions of Netflix or 5 different versions of Netflix. You want to go to, a European version of Netflix, you can go ahead and do that. So, there's value. I mean, why don't you have a VPN in 2020? It just doesn't even make sense. I don't get it. So go get one, because you never know when you're going to need one. And even if you feel like you don't need one, you're going to just start using it when you have it. You're going to be like, fuck, why didn't I have this before? I mean, shit, just stuff on YouTube when I'm getting region blocked or I'm going to a website and it's like, no, sorry, bro. You can't come here because we don't want you here. I'm saying, yeah? Well, NordVPN says, fuck you. I'm accessing this shit. Motherfucker.
I just watched Saturday Night Live, but now I can't see the fucking opening, the cold open on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I literally just watched it on my Canadian television.
Yes.
But they decided to not make it available in my country. Despite the fact that I just watched it on my TV.
Makes a lot of sense. They did that with all the Fox stuff for UFC. I don't know what it is, but it's just the way it is.
Dude, nothing is worse than on Twitter when UFC fight nights are going on Saturdays and you scroll down and there's like a GIF. They're like, some of them you can see, but then for some of them they're like, oh, this one specifically, fuck you.
Yeah.
And, it's just annoying.
And I'm like, no, fuck you. NordVPN. Click a button. Now I'm watching it. Deal with it. That's what I
just paid $70. I just took a piss. I missed it. I was seeing it on my social media feed. I can't, but what do you want from me?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Go check them out. Link is in the description below. Or if you're listening to this via RSS feed, it is NordVPN, NordVPN.com/OTT. Go there and pick it up. We also have Elgato. If you guys don't already got a Stream Deck, well, you gotta get one, along with mega amount of other stuff they have. I mean, these guys are pulling out products that we didn't even know we needed until they're here, and they're here. I mean, their newest one is you can use your
cell phone as a webcam.
Your cell phone as a webcam while you're streaming, which is pretty amazing. Just from one standpoint alone, when I use my extension cable for my webcam, the extension cable is too long, so sometimes the feed breaks, and I can't. It just breaks. So what's nice is you can actually use this product and take your cell phone and have a secondary camera to show the stream whatever it is that you're doing on your lap or on your keyboard or on your screen or whatever the case may be. Elgato's been crushing it. They've been crushing it with the stuff that they've been picking up and bringing out. If you don't already have a Stream Deck, I mean, it's a perfect Christmas gift. I mean, Christmas is around the corner, whether it's for yourself or for a friend, family member. It is the GOAT. They obviously got their Wave products as well. Those are hard to get a hold of because they've been selling out everywhere. Just plug and play USB microphones, the Wave products, high quality, great price point with a ton of customizations where you don't actually have to go out and buy a Go XLR piece of equipment that's made out of plastic that's $400. You can just plug in your microphone that costs less than $400 and basically do everything they do and have even more ability to do things. And everything pairs up with everything with Elgato. So definitely go check them out. Link is in the description below. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And now it's time for
movies and TV.
Not a long list. Because, well, nothing's in theater. Nothing's even really happening.
Movies have been dead.
The Mandalorian, that's out. They're releasing those new episodes. Ask me if I've watched any of them.
Have you?
No.
Neither have I. Mostly
because I wasn't impressed the first time around, and I doubted that I would be impressed the second time around.
I'll eventually watch it, but I'm in no rush. I'm in zero rush.
You and me both. In fact, Em and I have been in such little a rush to watch The Mandalorian after the last season that we have been watching random Nicolas Cage movies instead, with a side of Jason Statham movies. That's been our combination. One night, got Nick Cage. Next night, little Jason Statham.
Okay.
Bouncing back and forth. Last night, we watched, it was a Jason Statham movie. What was it called again? Fucking,
Crank?
No. Starts with a P. Because it's like the name of him in the movie or something, like of his character in the movie. Anyway, they're all the same fucking movie, basically. It's Jason Statham movies are almost all identical. It's Jason Statham killing people in wonderful and weird ways and looking like a badass doing it. So, yeah, I can't for the life of me remember the name of it, but it was good. Solid movie. Great action, some very unique ways in which he was killing motherfuckers. They almost reminded me a couple of them kind of like the thought put into it like a John Wick scene almost. Not as elaborate for like as long. Like an entire John Wick scene is like a fucking piece of art. But in this movie, Parker, that was it. Cold Brew's got it. Parker was the name of the movie. And so like one scene, for example, he's going into a place where he knows he's going to have a guy with a gun to the back of him. And so he has this small pistol that he puts into one of his belt loops, but then twists the belt loop and turns the gun upside down, points it behind him. And then when the conversation goes to where it's going downhill, he doesn't, and he's already been stripped of his main gun, but it's on his belt loop. He just goes down, bam, pops the guy that's standing behind him, turns around, fucks him right up, holds the next gun because he holds that guy's gun up against the dude he was talking to, kind of shit. Some very like kind of unique ways to handle the situation. Porter or Parker? I don't remember fucking what the hell it was. It started with a P. But yeah, it was pretty good. It was an entertaining movie, and the more Jason Statham movies I watch, the more I appreciate the guy. He's not like as an action movie guy. He's not really a terrible actor. He's actually a pretty like okay actor. Better than most action movie people tend to be at the very least. Like if you're going to do like compare it in the genre, and his ability to do like the shit in his scenes is also quite impressive. I mean, the dude is in fucking phenomenal shape, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's kind of like that's just like that's his shtick. He knows his lane. That motherfucker stays in that lane and he crushes it. And he makes his money on it. It's kind of like he's typecast, but I don't think he gives a fuck. He just keeps putting out those movies. Do you have a Jason Statham movie that you enjoy that stands out? I mean, Crank is obviously a pretty great action movie itself.
I actually really like Jason Statham in
Snatch is another good one. Shane in chat had that. Snatch was another good one.
Crank is good, and what was the other one? The spy one. The I have to look it up. Transporter.
Oh, yeah. I watched Transporter.
Movies. Yeah, the Transporter movies are all right. I mean, they're just action fun, and they're just like, they're not bad movies.
They're the right. The other thing I noticed about his movies is they're the right length.
Yeah.
Like they're just really solid. Like like that 80%. Living life at 80%. Jason Statham movies are living life at 80%. They're not trying to be god tier. But they're also never like particularly weak. They're all just really solid, entertaining. And even though the craziest thing is, like I said, even though pretty much every one of his movies are basically the same fucking character, I've yet to get tired of watching Jason Statham play the same fucking character. So he obviously is doing something right. But yeah, we watched that, and then there was and then we watched Nick Cage's movie the other day was Color Out of Space. Holy fuck, that movie is an absolute trip show. Literally a trip show. I've never personally done acid in my life, Jeff. I don't plan on ever doing it. However, I'm going to assume that having watched Color Out of Space, that is the most accurate visual depiction of an acid trip that is casually ramping up into a fucking fever dream over the course of several hours. Not a bad movie. It was a good movie in general. It's like an H.P. Lovecraft, it came from outer space type shit, thriller horror based on like a space kind of god type situation. And like unsettling. Like it definitely like when I say it ramps up, I mean it legitimately ramps up. It's the classic, let's get a couple laughs in the beginning to get people kind of relaxed and in their seats, and then the movie just keeps fucking going up and up, and the unsettling shit just keeps going, and then all of a sudden you hit, like at one point, you just go vertical fucking line. You go into a different genre of movie at some point. You flip entirely at some point, and it was perfect for Nick Cage because, like anything that they require you to act crazy, Nicolas Cage is your man. You need somebody to act legitimately insane?
Yeah, he's your guy.
He's your guy. Mostly because he might very well be legitimately insane.
Yes, he is.
But he fucking killed it. So it was good. And everyone in the movie did a good job. Other than Nicolas Cage himself, I don't think... No. Other than Nicolas Cage, I don't think I can think of off the top of my head anyone else that I recognized in it. But that obviously helped. Sometimes when you don't know the actors, it can sometimes make the movie even better. But everyone did a pretty good job overall. It was a solid movie. If you're interested in that kind of thing, like if you're into like H.P. Lovecraft kind of shit, or you're just looking to get fucking weirded out a bit, or kind of on that thriller ride, Color Out of Space, I can recommend. Don't watch it high. You will fucking kill yourself. I can't even imagine watching this film on mushrooms. You would never survive. Somebody's probably already done it, but I can't even imagine. Shit would be crazy. Other than that, the only thing I've got.
You want to watch you want to talk about a trip?
Oh, what do you got?
Well, I think I already talked about it on the podcast before. Midsummer. Have you watched that yet?
Where can I watch it? What is it on? Is it on Prime?
I don't. Let me see. I'm gonna look it up.
Because
right now.
I mean, we've been scrolling,
bruh,
nonstop trying to look for shit, bruh, and I haven't seen it pop up yet,
bruh. Yeah, it's on Helly's Plex. Go on Helly's Plex.
I need Hallie. You need to send me the new fucking link because ever since it went down, I haven't had access. So you need to hook me up.
That's where I watched it. I mean, you can watch it on YouTube. It's for rental. And Helly's got it on his Plex. I don't know where else it's available. But you want to talk about a fucking trip? Watch this movie.
I have heard that is
movie, bro. Watch this. And if you like this movie, you can watch Hereditary.
I've seen Hereditary.
Did you like Hereditary?
Hereditary was pretty good.
Dude, this one,
yeah.
Same director, same writer. Bruh. This one takes on a It's fucked.
I did hear it was a fucking wild ride, for sure.
Fucked. It's so fucked. Like, it's so fucked that it's scary. Like, you're like, what in the actual fuck?
You just get confused to the point that you get concerned.
Well, you get confused until you realize what's happening, and then you go, what in the absolute fuck? And it becomes a, like, I don't even know. Yeah, did you watch Parasite? You must have watched Parasite.
I'm pretty sure I also watched Parasite, yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. But Midsummer, you and M.
I will try and pitch it. I will try and pitch it to her. She's M's on a major like action kick recently, but I will try and pitch it.
There ain't action. Well, I mean, there's some excitement in this. They ain't action. It's something. It's something. It's an experience. So you should watch it for that reason.
Other than that, we lost Sean Connery.
Midsummer is on the Dutch Netflix.
Oh, there you go. Promo code OTT NordVPN.
Boom. There it is.
Yeah. So we lost Sean Connery this week. As far as I know, he died in his sleep, 90 years old. Obviously a film legend.
What more can you say?
What more can you say?
Right.
My tweet, when he gets to the pearly gates, the first thing out of his mouth will be, "I'm waiting to be impressed." Well, you know what? You know what the dumbest thing about that? That was a joke in our group of friends for the fucking longest time. The "I'm waiting to be impressed," and I never actually watched the fucking movie. It was just from the trailer.
You've never watched it?
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I never watched it.
I've seen it.
Never watched it. Just
if you want action, go watch League of Extraordinary. It's not a good movie, but
no,
it is what.
But the trailer was funny. And there was something about Sean Connery saying, "I'm waiting to be impressed," that just fucking made me laugh like crazy when I was a kid. That's it. That's the entirety of what anything else that cropped up on your radar?
No, Kale and I are watching I think it's called Away on Netflix.
Okay.
It's a space drama.
Okay.
It's
a popular genre recently. The space drama.
What's her name? Fucking Hillary Swank or whatever. Swank.
Oh yeah, I watched Bly Manor. Did we talk about that on the podcast yet?
Yeah, we talked about that. I haven't watched it yet though.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, let me see here. Away. All right, yeah, Hillary Swank. So anyway, basically, it's a show about a mom, an astronaut.
Okay, an astronaut mom or an astronaut and a mom. Okay,
going out to Mars. Be the first ones there to start to build or grow, inhabit Mars, essentially.
Yes.
First one's going there. It's a 3-year journey. And there's all kinds of drama that happens at home and on the spaceship and all this other stuff. And so, yeah, we've been watching that. It's like a 7 out of 10.
All right.
It's so generic, but like there's enough fluff there that like for a casual viewer, it's a good time. And even for me to a degree, it's a good time. But yeah, I'm gonna make it through it. I think we're on episode 8 now. I think there's 10. They don't know if they're gonna greenlight the second season, although they have season 2 and 3 written and planned out. So we'll see. Because it's got mixed reviews, but tons of people are watching the show. So I don't hate it. It's all right. So if anybody out there is bored and you have nothing else to watch, which should be damn near impossible, there's so much shows out there. But if you really want some sci-fi in your life and you like space exploration, I have a soft spot for that personally. Then go and check it away. If you have no desire, don't. That's it.
You gotta watch Bly Manor so we can talk about it.
I know I do. I know. Bro, my time.
Well, just get past this space, whatever the fuck, and watch Bly Manor.
We'll be done the space thing and probably by Monday. And then we'll start Bly. Kale and I have been waiting. We actually what made us not actually watch Bly instead of this is Kai had just gone to bed. I had just pulled a long one. I was tired. She was tired. And we want to watch Bly in the theater. In the theater room.
Yeah,
we don't want to like watch it in bed. So like we were just feeling lazy. We didn't want to go downstairs and set everything up and fucking, go down there and do all that. So we just decided to watch away in bed, and we enjoyed the first few episodes. So we're like, well,
now it's a habit.
We hate watching two shows at once, and it's nice to just lay in bed, like bed.
It's true.
And just watch something until you're basically ready to fall asleep.
It's true.
Which I don't recommend to people because it's not a good habit. Bed should be for two things: fucking and sleeping. That's pretty much the show. But if you're like 95% of us out there, throw on the TV that's mounted on the wall and watch it until you fall asleep. It's pretty much it. So we started doing that. So we're gonna do Bly after away.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Mr. Black, it's time now to move on to
tech support.
Bro, everyone I know today has no energy. Are you in that boat? I have no energy today. Em has got no energy today. Both my parents, no energy today. This is one of those days where it seems the entire world, no energy.
Yeah.
Tech support. Patreon.com/lagtv. $10 higher every month gets you a few goodies, but for the purpose of this segment, it allows you to ask questions on a post that I put up every week before the podcast starts. And then we answer as many as we can with the time that we have. What? That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on now. There we go. I'll say this. Alexa says, not a question, just want to do a quick shout out to the guy that does the timestamps on YouTube. Absolute legend. Truth!
Facts. Yep.
There have been a couple of people to do it. The most recent has been going for quite some time now. Facts. I tried to convert their timestamps. It's Legion Dude who does them right now. I tried to convert their timestamps into stuff to put in the description to have YouTube cut the video up. The problem was that in some instances it was cutting the video bar up to like too thin in spots, and it was kind of fucky and weird. So we just leave it there for your viewing pleasure. I pin it every week. As soon as those timestamps are up and I catch it, I pin them to the top of the comment section for that very reason, for people to jump around. Let's see. Alexa had an actual question. Is it a good time to buy AMD stock? Guide me, Adam, my new financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor, and the answer to that question is, I don't know, maybe. I mean, you bought it like 2 or 3 years ago? Fucking incredible time. Doing it right now? You're basically betting that they're going to continue to grow or that they're going to continue to ramp as they have been above Intel and continue to grab more market share. That's going to be harder and harder to be able to tell over the course of the next couple of years. So I would say it's not the worst place you could put money, but it's more of a gamble now than it would have been 2 years ago. Henry asks, something went wrong. This is very topical, Jeff. Something went wrong, and you are now the President of the United States. What's your first move?
Oh. Dude, I don't even know.
There are so many things that your first move could be that it would be almost impossible to come up with. I'm gonna go with a combo. All right, first thing in. Just like if I was prime minister, something went horribly wrong, and I was a prime minister, and we went from having somebody with lots of hair to me. The first thing that I would do in Canada would be get rid of first past the post, because bullshit. The state's version of first past the post, in terms of the bullshit in the voting system, is the Electoral College. Fuck that thing into the ground. Then blow it up, nuke it from orbit, piss on its ashes, get the Necronomicon, bring it back from the dead, burn it again, take a shit on it. That's the Electoral College. Nuke that shit from orbit. And then get rid of gerrymandering would be the follow-up. And then everything else, I don't know, sort yourself out.
I'll go with making it mandatory that every single person in public wears a mask.
Not a bad one. Should probably be a thing a long time ago.
Yeah.
Pandemic specific, yes.
That'd be my fuck your freedoms. Wear a mask. Or get arrested. It's up to you.
Heavy fines being levied.
Very heavy fines. Do
it
again.
Like making examples of people at that point.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? If you're going to come out here and be ignorant about it, all right, we're going to fuck you.
Here's an idea. I'm accidentally the president of the United States. This is what we do. We separate all of the heavy Republican states from all of the heavy Democratic states, and we allow them to secede and create their own country. Now you have two separate countries, and so the Reds can be as backwater, fucking inbred, whatever the fuck they want to be, their guns shooting into the air every 5 minutes, whatever the fuck they want to do. They want to put money over everything else, they can do that. Now it's their own country. And then the Democratic side, the blue side, they're in their own country. They can argue about, they can hug trees and
money and fucking everything will be hunky dory.
And then just, fucking, I don't know, argue over pronouns or some shit, and then see how long it lasts. Let's see here. See what else has got upticks here. This is a random question. I feel like we've answered something similar to this before, but hey, we'll go for it. Forlorn asks, which home appliance was a game changer for you?
Home appliance?
Yeah, what home appliance was a game changer?
I mean, the dishwasher's pretty awesome.
That's facts.
It's pretty awesome.
Facts.
I'm just because it's so easy to say that, I'll go with the HVAC system.
That's another good one.
Yeah. Just being able to plug your vacuum in any room and just in the wall and just fucking do your thing. It's where it's at.
I'm going to go with, just to be obscure, I'm going to go with a slow cooker. Because as a live streamer, I was cooking my own food all the time. The beauty of the slow cooker, I get up in the morning, I have my breakfast, I dump a bunch of shit in the slow cooker, I turn it on, I come back in 7 hours, and it's done. It's all in one pot. There's not really a lot of dishes to clean. I can take that container, put it in the fridge, and just eat out of the one container and not have to dirty a bunch of other shit. And you make whatever the fuck you want in the slow cooker, and you don't have to worry about it. You make, pretty much any meal you want within reason within a slow cooker, and you don't have to be there looking at it the whole time. And as a streamer, when you're just doing nothing but literally throwing your entire life away in front of the computer, that was a great way to eat home cooked meals all the time. Pressure cookers are great, but they're to do things in shorter periods of time. But you more or less still want to be there when they're doing their thing. Slow cooker, I put that shit on and I walk away. I know that even if I miss the window of time, the longer it's in there, with few exceptions, just meat's gonna get more tender, shit's gonna be even tastier. It doesn't really matter. You leave chili in that shit for 12 straight hours, not gonna make a damn difference. That was the beauty of the slow cooker for me. Mick Barge asks, this is topical getting into the winter season, Mr. Black. Zip-up hoodies, are they jackets or sweaters?
Damn. They're jackets, man.
You know what? Yeah.
They're jackets. I mean, I don't consider them jackets. Like, I don't think of them as jackets, but they're jackets.
I have to agree. As soon as you add a zipper, in my mind, it becomes a jacket.
Now, if it's a half zipper, like it's like here to here,
and no, that's still a sweater.
That's a sweater. But when you go from top down and you're zipping that up and then you're taking it off like a jacket, it's a jacket.
Yep.
It is a jacket. There is no difference between that OGS jacket and one of my Under Armour jackets that I have that zips up and zips down.
100%. Nell asks, have you seen Jamie Foxx's recent documentary, The Phenomenon, where the existence of UFOs are discussed by high-ranking military officials? If not, what do you think about UFOs in general? I haven't seen it. I didn't even know it was a thing.
They're probably, I didn't see it. What is it on Netflix?
I'm not entirely sure. They do not state. It's called The Phenomenon.
The Phenomenon.
Something like a phenomenon.
Something like a phenomenon. Let me see. Where is it available here? Where is it available?
Peacock.
It's not on Netflix. So I don't know where it's at.
Maybe it's not Jamie Foxx. It's actually, they have James Fox here. Maybe it's me just like correcting him.
James Fox?
Oh, that's got to be it. Yeah, no, I was correcting the thinking because I didn't know James Fox. It's James Fox.
Oh, okay. I don't know who the fuck James Fox is.
It's a 2020 film. 86 on Rotten Tomatoes, though. Okay. 7.6 on IMDb.
Okay.
It's on Amazon Prime, but whether or not you have to rent it, I don't know.
Yeah, you can get it on YouTube.
YouTube for rent.
Yeah. Anyway,
I haven't seen that. So the follow-up question to that is, if not, what do you think about UFOs in general?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what are we talking about UFOs? Are we talking about aliens here? Because, I mean, a UFO can be...
Are aliens eating ox meat and doing DMT, Jeff?
Yeah. I don't know. They're probably, in this phenomenon thing, they're probably talking about that instance where they had those TAC UFOs that were going from like a couple of feet off the ground, off the water, up to,
probably that amongst other things. If he's talking to,
yeah, and then they were moving in such weird things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to believe that aliens are here or have visited here.
Mm.
But there's just no definitive proof publicly. Now we've seen the videos, and I'm sure this documentary is about that specific thing, and is the most it's the case where I get the most excited about it, and where I'm like, okay. Before I was just like, guys, no. All right, all these shitty UFO videos we're seeing on YouTube are like edited or just like bullshit. But this actually coming from the military, you can hear their legitimate surprise and just you know that it wasn't staged. They publicly came out and told people like, hey, it's been away for this long. We have to come out and tell you guys what we found. But they still didn't have anything. They still didn't have concrete. Now, I've listened to the Joe Rogan podcast where they've had people that worked at Area 51 and they worked on alien technology, and it's all under wraps. But once again, these could just be like whistleblowers. You know, these could be just people just.
The problem is that you're internally forever going to be stacking up a singular person who may or may not be telling the truth versus an entire host of government level officials.
Yeah.
And you know that the government is not going to tell you everything.
No.
But you also know that people are individually deceitful on their own. And when a topic like alien visitation is on the table, the shit's like, who the fuck are you going to believe?
Yeah.
Like, without seeing it yourself, who are you really going to be able to put that much stock in?
Yeah, like, and the vast majority of people that claim they've been abducted by aliens, or whatever, they're usually a little fucking crazy. Or not.
But here's the crazy thing about that, though, is that one of the most dangerous things a person can say about another person is calling them crazy.
Well, that is true, but there is a,
because obviously people can be clinically proven to be mentally unstable. You know, they're wildly bipolar, they're schizophrenic, whatever.
I am not disputing that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. But the vast majority, to think that these individuals, that the vast majority of them, I'm talking like 98% of the ones that I see that are like, I got abducted.
Yeah.
They're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They're actually crazy. Or they're just not all there. They're and I using the word crazy is a little, might be a little mean, but they're just not all there. They don't seem too educated. They don't seem too bright. Not saying you have to be educated or bright to tell the truth, but there is a pattern. The thing that got me most excited and what's most believable is when very reputable people experienced a UFO sighting like the one that this documentary talks about, where they legitimately have proof. They are reputable people that you can take them for the word, and they aren't coming up with some crazy, unheard of stories where it's like, I've been taken up in a beam of light and they took me somewhere and they poured some ooze on me and some went in my mouth and I saw, they're not saying that stuff. It's just very like, hey, bro, I saw some shit. I don't know what this is. Here are the possibilities, but there's just nothing humanly that we have that could, that's the stuff that gets me excited because it just seems more believable. It still sounds unbelievable, but I mean, if an alien was here, they would have stuff that would seem unbelievable to us. They would have the ability to do things that we couldn't even comprehend. And if we could, we'd probably have it. So like, To answer your question, I would say I believe in UFOs more than I don't believe in UFOs. That's probably the furthest I can. I believe in UFOs more than what I believe in religion. So, like, you know, and I don't want to get on a religious debate, but if somebody was like, "Hey, you believe in God," right? I would believe that aliens exist. I already believe that aliens exist. I mean, they gotta exist somewhere. But in terms of them actually have been here, maybe humans have interacted with them and it's been kept on the low. Maybe we've seen them and we didn't know. I would believe that more than, say, a religious belief, because it just seems more scientifically tangible and real, not necessarily faith. I don't have faith that UFOs exist. I just think that there's a possibility, and I wouldn't dispute it if I saw it. So that's sort of where I'm at, because science could theoretically do the things that some of these individuals are saying is happening. So that's where I'm at. I would say more yes than no, but I can't just flat out say I'm not one of those like, yes, aliens are here and they're among us. They could be Adam. Adam could be an alien. I'm not like that. But do I truly believe that the U.S. government has craft and or a physical body from another planet or universe? I do. I think it does exist. To what degree? I don't know. But I most certainly would believe it. And if it got leaked or, somebody on their deathbed literally just gave up the gauntlet and there was proof, I would believe it. Or if there was like hard evidence, like maybe not complete proof, but enough where you go, damn, that I believe that shit. That's where I'm at.
I believe there are alien life. There is alien life, because the vastness of the universe would lead one to believe that it would be a mathematical improbability for them not to exist.
Yeah.
Do I think that they've been here? That is a bit more debatable to me, because again, of the vastness of the universe.
Yeah.
And why would they come here?
Yeah. And like, during that small amount of time that the Earth has been really Earth.
There's not. We're like from a space perspective, we are like a fart in the fucking wind in time. We've been here this tiny little window, and I mean, what would be so? What would I just like? Is it possible? Sure, but I feel like it's almost a selfish take to think that they are here and keep coming back. Like, the fuck are they getting out of coming here and looking at us? Like, have you looked at humanity?
Yeah, I know.
We actively go out of our way to kill ourselves.
Yeah,
and that's like humanity in a nutshell. Is some of humanity convincing the other part of humanity not to kill each other? That's our existence for the longest fucking time. So, yeah, I the other thing that I always find kind of silly is that all of our depictions, even in like the stuff that's supposed to be more credible in terms of having an alien body somewhere or whatnot, is that they're all very human looking, which again is very selfish sounding to me. Now, in the grand scheme of evolutionary whatever the fuck, every environment is going to have a path of, I guess if you want to call it least resistance, where a certain form, in terms of the most intelligent life in any given environment, is likely to take a certain form. And on Earth, it just so happened that we were that. 4 fingers and a thumb, and the ability to walk really freakishly long distance, and eat both plant and meat proteins to survive, and to be able to not only recognize the self, but to have the ability to think beyond simple need, is what put humans where we are. So, that form taking the exact same, that same thing happening somewhere else, but with like a slightly bigger fucking head, doesn't really strike me as a likely scenario. So, I don't know. I think they're out there. Do I think they've been here? I don't know. Maybe. To what extent have they been here? Good question. But it's really fucking hard to say. The problem with it is that it's an exciting thought, and so when something is that exciting and you think about it, and the government is even like remotely protective of it, it almost lends credence to the idea that they have something. When you also want to keep in mind that ultimately, if any government on Earth at this point in time had technology that was significantly beyond what is publicly known for them to have, that is a strategic military advantage to them, and why in the fuck would they, like, tell the whole world about it at all times? Yeah. You're always going to have something under wraps. So, yeah, I think it's a conflation of a whole bunch of shit. I think that in that regard, it's going to be impossible to know unless you yourself have an experience. And the problem with having that experience is that so few people would have had that experience. At the moment you come out, the first thing that happens is somebody calls you crazy.
You're crazy.
And you're fucked.
You got me calling you stupid.
You're fucked, right? So you can't. So and that would perpetuate the unknown, because nobody's. It's so unreal, and so few people have experienced it that you're just branded as crazy the moment you bring it up. So
I mean, the U.S. government literally said that they have collected craft that are not of this world. So, like, what do they mean by that? You know what I mean?
The problem with that is that that's a very broad. It's a very broad statement.
It's a broad statement, but I mean, no matter how broad you make it, you got craft not of this world. I mean, I don't know how else you're supposed to take it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, whether that is an alien spaceship, a fucking it's I don't know. I don't know. And
maybe we're going to find out that the show Ancient Aliens is actually a documentary series, and that guy whose hair keeps getting crazier and crazier over time, he's been right the whole time.
Might be. He might be.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but maybe it was aliens.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe. I thought for sure this year was going to be the year, because they started leaking stuff. The government started coming out saying these things. These videos came out. They're like, yeah, we have stuff of not of this world. You know, just with all the crazy news that's happening, why not throw in little bits of like crazy so that people can digest it a little bit more? And then down the road, maybe they do come out and say, listen, this is what we got. You guys aren't going to believe this shit, but this ain't Hollywood. This thing right here, this is from another universe. We have no idea how, what, where, or whatever. Shit got gravity backwards. We've got, like, I mean, this thing is, the human brain can't even comprehend it. We've had this for the last 70 years, and we've been trying to re-engineer this, and we've gotten close on a couple of things. And in fact, You know, the stealth fighter that we currently love, we got some of that technology from this. And some of the things that we've been doing, we got from this. But hey, this is it. Here it is, world. If they do that, it's like boom, whoa. But then what does it really change? You know what I mean? What can we do?
Well, what it changes is, it changes for a lot of people. It would change the dynamic of,
I guess,
it would change the dynamic of religion for a lot of people.
That is very true.
Not necessarily Christianity, because Christianity itself doesn't.
Scientology stock goes way up.
No, that shit was still written as a fictional work by some dude who wrote science fiction for a living.
Still, bro, Scientology goes way up, bro. Tom Cruise is on a sofa somewhere, standing up, saying, "I love it." You know,
true.
Will Smith finally comes out and says, "Yeah,
true.
Yeah, I'm in Scientology."
That's true.
Then all weirdos go, "I told you so." Motherfuckers. And now you're not preparing bunkers for the nuclear war. You're preparing bunkers and stuff for the alien invasion takeover.
But eventually we'll know more.
Oh yeah,
it'll happen. But for now, it's still a meme.
It's a meme,
but it's a good one.
It's a good meme.
Logan asks, I know you guys try to stay out of politics, but what are your thoughts on the current election? He said, I am a Canadian also, but I've paid too much attention these last 2 days. Well, as Canadians, we don't have an option because that's all that's on our news as well. Like, nobody gives a fuck about Canada while the American election is on. And I mean, a lot of that's for good reason, because whatever happens in the States has a pretty massive impact on Canada.
Yes.
We share the largest border between two nations on Earth, and we are each other's like biggest trading partners for much of our imports and exports. We do anything that happens in one affects the other. Just that's how it goes.
Dollar affects Canada.
Yeah,
tremendously. You know, so a lot does, but yeah.
So yeah, I guess we just asked what's our thoughts. So we're still, as of this podcast, we're still in the throes of it right now. We're still waiting for the last of the stuff to come through. A couple of states lagging behind there, and I'm sure there's going to be recounts on at least a few places as we go. I don't know what the official tallies are right now, but as far as I know, I think Biden is still
264 to 214.
Yeah. So Biden would have to catastrophically lose damn near every other state on the map, I think, at this point, and maybe a recount loss somewhere to really shift that back the other way. A lot of it, I think it's a lot closer of a race than a lot of people thought it would be. Even the people that knew that there would still be a large portion of the voting base that would still be leaning Republican, I think this is still much closer than people thought it would have inevitably been. Whether that was out of pure optimism or just the thought that they couldn't deal with the fact that they would imagine that after all that has happened, enough people would want to still leave this man as the leader of the free world for another 4 years. But it's way closer than I think most people thought it would be. And I mean, social media kind of reflects that. So many people were just like, oh my fucking God, are you kidding me? How is this not a landslide? Yeah, we understand some states are going to be forever red, but I mean, some of these places are just, we're talking the difference of 20,000 votes, which is like 1% or less. In some places, it's like 0.1%, going either way. So what are your thoughts on where we're at right now, Mr. Black? If you were a black man in the States, it'd be a slightly different situation because obviously racial tensions down there are a bit higher than they are here. What is your take on the current standing here with this election?
I'm ready for it to be over.
I think you and everyone else is ready for that.
You know, I'm ready. Sure. I'm ready for it to be over. Biden's likely going to win. I'm happy. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to turn this into a big political debate.
Well, it's not a debate. It's just your thoughts.
I mean, I've gone on enough rants about Trump and stuff. The vast majority of Canadians in other parts of the world can't stand Trump. If you take a look at the overall vote right now, Biden's got 50.4% and Trump has got 47.9% of the popular votes.
Yeah.
Of just the whole voting. That would never be the split if you were to pool Canadians and the vast majority of other countries. It would be heavily on Biden's side than it would be Trump's side.
Be like 80-20.
Yeah, easy. And there's a reason for that. And so, I get it. I actually get it. I'm like the type of person that if somebody's a Trump supporter, I still respect them. I don't think they're, I might not believe in the way they believe, but I'm not going to not be friends with somebody if they support Trump. I'm not going to go out of my way to try and humiliate them from my points of view. Do I think he is the biggest embarrassment that America has ever seen? Yes, I do. I do think he's a racist. I do think he's chauvinistic. I do think he's a narcissistic. I do think he can't take an L. And I'm not even just talking about this election, but he's just all of those things. And nobody can tell me otherwise. Just like I can't tell somebody otherwise that he isn't those things, because they're going to just try and figure out all these things, right? They're going to come up with a million different things, and that's fine. I just got to, take a step back and just try not to take it personal. And I mean, over the last, I don't know how long, few days when I've been tweeting out shit about Trump, I've had a lot of angry motherfuckers, Trump supporters that have been supporting me for a long time. And, some of them will message me privately, and some of them will be like, dude, I've been supporting you for a long time. But I just, I can't stand listening to you talk about what you don't understand and all this other stuff. And I get it. And basically I go and tell them the same fucking thing I tell everybody else. If my opinions are affecting you and you taking it personal to the point where you can't enjoy my content, or you can't, then that's a you problem. That ain't a me problem. I'm fucking 33 years old. I have my own opinions, just like you do. I don't know how many times I have people on my Twitter, Trump 2020, go Trump. I don't tweet out to them and say, fuck you and fuck your points of view. I let them speak their mind. That you go ahead and speak your mind. That doesn't bug me at all. And a lot of people fucking, I told this on the stream yesterday. I'm more, if I was in the States, I'm more Republican than I am Democratic. There's a lot of things on the right side that I identify with than the left. I would be the type of voter that would be voting for the individual candidate, not the party. And I think what a lot of people is that they're extremely loyal to one side or the other. And it doesn't matter how racist someone is, or how ignorant or non-presidential or whatever asterisk you want to put Trump at. They'll overlook those things because of certain ideologies that he believes in that the blue side doesn't believe in, and it doesn't really matter. They're just going to vote regardless. And, sure. But for me, I couldn't physically, even if I was a Republican, I just couldn't physically vote for this dude, just from what he says and does. And people will come up with a million excuses as to, oh, Biden's too old and this, that, and he's got a laptop, and you know what I mean? But I get it. My ultimate point of view is I can't wait for it to be over. I can't wait for this world leader to no longer be this world leader. I think the world needs that. And this is coming from a Canadian perspective, so take it for what you want. I understand I don't go through the same struggles that certain people go through, and vice versa. That's why I respect that's why I don't really get in heated political debates with people individually, because at the end of the day, it's like talking religion. Adam is not going to sit here and convince me to believe in God. It's just not going to happen. When we were younger and more immature, I used to try and talk Adam in my point of view. But as you get older, you just realize you don't need to agree on everything, and people have their own ideologies on things and their own beliefs, and there's just certain things morally that they cannot let go of, and it's typically on how you're raised and what you've experienced. And so all you can do is really voice your opinion, but be respectful while you do it. Unfortunately, when it comes to U.S. politics, it is a lot of the time it is not. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of it's a lot of hate, and I get it. I get why, because it's a fuck show. My fuxometer, I shouldn't say it's 0 because I do care, because it does affect Canada. It really does. But I'll be happy to see him go. Extremely happy. Am I happy to see Biden there? No, I'm not. The dude can't even speak for 10 minutes without fucking fumbling and staring into the universe. The guy is a basic walking puppet. I get it. But it's better than the talking fucking animal. I'm sorry, but it's just it's wild. And it's there. It sucks both ways, but ultimately, it is what it is. It's the cards we're dealt with. And Godspeed. I got love for my American friends out there. I really do. I enjoy going to America, and I'd be a liar if I didn't say some of this is entertaining, because some of it is entertaining as fuck. But when you strip away the entertainment, you realize this shit is real. This is some really fucking dark shit going on, and it's scary. And hopefully things can get better. And I think we're on a way of starting to get some sort of healing. And some people will suffer. I mean, that's just one way or another. But it would be nice if people voted for the candidate and not necessarily the party. But I understand why it is the way it is. And you've mentioned it earlier, is if you can get rid of this electoral shit and just vote for voting, and have real democracy, then...
Well, it's the reality of the U.S. is it's not a direct democracy; it's a republic, and so with some democratic shit sprinkled on top, right? It's so that's why it'll be. I would be shocked if we ever see the Electoral College disappear for that reason.
Won't. Yeah, we won't. But it is what it is. It's not our country, so
yeah. We have our own problem. Like our first past the post here is basically the same problem as the Electoral College.
Yep.
In that it makes a lot of votes completely
useless. Yeah.
So that will probably be gone in our lifetime. First past the post. That isn't as much of a beast to tackle as the Electoral College in the States, but all the same, kind of a similar idea. I mean, so yeah, I'm not wildly dissimilar to most of what Jeff just said, but there are some asterisks for me in here. So definitely for me as well, I always lean towards voting for the person. There's two stages. There's two things you have to realize when you're voting for somebody, and because I've heard people try to describe why they vote for people before, is that some people will say, for example, and I'm sure Jeff, you've heard this before, probably from the Trump supporters, that they're voting for the person for their policies, not the person behind them. So they don't really care if the person's an asshole. If the policies they bring to the table work for the country, then fine, right? And then there are some people that will vote for the person, and the policies are a secondary portion to that because they're more interested in having somebody who is unlikely to be as, perhaps mostly the trait would be the deceitful, as somebody else on the other side of the coin, or somebody who is less involved in scandal and whatnot, because people eventually get tired of their political heads being tied up in 1,000 fucking scandals. I'm always somebody that votes, like Jeff was saying, very similar. I vote for the person and their policies. Those two things to me are inseparable. I never understood how somebody could separate those two things, because invariably those two halves of the person affect the other. You could have somebody, and it's often why you will see somebody when they campaign give a list of the shit that they're going to do for you. And all of it's sunshine and fucking rainbows. And then they get in, and what happens? You see almost none of it. And you can't explain it all away because of, like, them not having control of, let's say, the House or something in the States, et cetera, et cetera. Some of that is explainable because of that. They get blocked from the opposing party, whatnot. That's not, some of it is you vote somebody for their policies, but the person is an insufferable cunt and lied to you to get in for their party. That's the reality of the situation. So those two things are not, they're inseparable. So when I vote for somebody, it's always a combination of the two. I study them as a person as best I can. Thankfully, one of my only good traits, other than being mediocre at video games, is reading people. And so I spend a lot of time getting a read on somebody before I vote for them. And then, yeah, their policy's pretty fucking important. But I don't want to vote for somebody who I know is intrinsically a fucking asshole just because their policies are good. Because usually you get people that tarnish your country's standing in the international community, which, by the way, is kind of fucking important, because they're an insufferable asshole. It's what's happened with Trump. If it wasn't for the fact that, unfortunately, both his policies almost entirely, short of maybe a couple that you could cherry pick, are all ass. Like, politically, he's shit. As a person, he's shittier. So there's no, for me, the thing is, what you'll see with polls for voting for Trump is that the number one reason is the economy. Not even, interestingly enough, not even individual policies that improves that individual person's life, like, let's say, a tax cut at their bracket, but just the health of the economy, or how they see what they feel is a healthy economy. That is their 95% is on that. And then every other voting purpose falls in this 5% cup underneath of it. I understand. So for me, it's a bit delusional. I think and this is so hard to put all this into fucking coherent thought, but I will say this. While Jeff says that he wouldn't unfriend somebody for supporting Trump, I would. Because of his person, not his politics. If you can support that man as a person, which you have to if he's in as the fucking president of the United States, yeah, you're just supporting the person.
Before you go on a rant here,
yeah.
is I wouldn't be able to. I would be able to not be friends with them.
Yeah,
but it's how they go about of defending or I shouldn't say the level of support. If there is a Trump supporter and a voter, I don't hold that to the same level of a Trump supporter that is partaking directly into the hate speech, into trying to come up with excuses for applauding white supremacy, those type of things. you can make the argument just by voting for him. You're doing just that. But also I understand that certain people morally cannot vote for somebody that doesn't believe in abortion or doesn't believe in things that morally
That's called single issue voting.
Single issue voting. And even though there is another evil on the other side, they're willing to overlook that because of something that is so important to them that they just cannot support something from the other side simply because of that. And I cannot, that's like me not being friends with somebody for a religion they believe in or whatever. I just can't do that. If they are going to be part of the problem and they're going to sit there and argue with me when somebody has blatantly said something and done something and it's so against humanity and what it is to be a decent person, especially in a privileged position of power like the president of the United States, and then you're going to come to me and spew some fucking shit at me and tell me I'm an asshole for calling somebody out for being yeah, I have no problem telling you go fuck yourself and telling you to unfollow me or I'm just going to block you. I don't have time for that. But if there's something part there and you're like, if you can listen, you know what I got respect for? I got respect for people that keep it real, where they go, you know what, dude, I can't fucking stand Trump, but unfortunately, I have to vote for him. I can't I can't fucking stand this era. I wish he would get off Twitter. I wish he'd stop running his mouth. I wish Biden would stop doing this or doing that. I wish Biden wasn't fucking damn near 90 years old, but I have no choice but to vote for him because of this. I can respect that. I also got respect for the assholes that straight up will tell you I'm a racist prick and I support being a racist asshole, because then I just know I'm not your friend and I don't want to deal with you. Thank you for telling me who you really are. Go fuck yourself. You're not somebody I want to hang out with at all. And you shouldn't have children because you're only going to teach them the same shit that you're spewing right now. So yes, to answer that, I can not be friends with somebody on things I don't believe in, as long as they're doing it in a way that is offensive or that is combative to what I believe as well. Like where you just want to fight me for what I believe. It's like, dude, I respect what you got going, respect mine, and everything is fine in the world. We don't need to agree on everything. But if you're going to be a complete and utter asshole, then fuck yourself. And if you think white supremacy is great, go fuck yourself. I'm not even just saying as a black guy, as a human, go fuck yourself. I don't want to be associated with you. I don't even want to waste my breath. So continue.
So, yeah, for me, it's easier in this regard because you're talking about who you're putting in place as the president of the United States. You're not talking about a guy who's like a fucking, do you support a business mogul who just so happens to be a complete and utter asshole? There's one thing, there's a line where my ability to look past differences in thought when it comes to people, there's a line there, and it's definitely well before elected official. Like we're way before you get anywhere near elected official where we should probably agree on that shit. And it's not, and again, it's not necessarily just because we're voting for different people. This is not like, for example, when we're back in time voting for the difference between, this is not like a George Bush situation. Donald Trump is so easily well and beyond anything that you've seen in our lifetime as a complete and utter shit stain of a human being and politician. And the people that he surrounded himself with in the same vein, that it's a no fly zone for me. So I don't have a problem. If you can see what has happened in what he's done and the people around him have done in the last 4 years and still vote for him, I don't fucking want to talk to you anymore. You're not going to listen to reason. There is nothing that you can say in both to me and for me to you that we are ever going to come together. I don't want to. I need to make a distinction here. I think there is a thing in the world right now where people want to say, you know, agree to disagree, let's still be friends. No. If you're somebody who is pro fucking euthanasia, I don't want to meet you halfway. If you're somebody who is pro racism, I don't want to meet you halfway. And I don't have any plans to do so. I will more likely tell yourself to go fuck off, take a long walk off a short pier with concrete shoes, than I would be to meet you halfway. There are issues and things within and outside of politics. Well, not euthanasia was not necessarily. There are instances euthanasia is fine, but you get my idea. You get the eugenics is probably the word I wanted to use. So there are topics that you'll hit where it's just like you just mentioned. It's like white supremacy. You're never going to want to meet somebody halfway on white supremacy.
No, the best that you can do, the very best that you can do as a human being is, for one, I don't blame you for just saying, go fuck yourself, and it's over.
Yeah.
The second best thing you could do is try and educate somebody in a way that is factual, not overly aggressive, and you just lay it out there, and it's up to them to soak in the information and change, or that's the show. But, you know, because some people are, I mean, racism is taught, right? You're not born racist. Some people are just brought up that way and they don't know any different. And obviously there wasn't enough people around to take the time to have compassion or look at the other side on why they're feeling this way and they think this way, and taking the time to understand them and then educate them. If you want to take the time and you see a redeeming quality in a person and you want to take the time to reach out and try and change a perspective in a way that isn't forceful, then I think that's a positive way of doing things. But also, I don't blame people for just saying, go fuck yourself. I want nothing to do with you.
Bro, as somebody who has spent most of their adult life trying to bring reason to people when they're being unreasonable, I can tell you that 99.9% of the time, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of... Your best case scenario is putting it out there and walking away and not even waiting for the response.
That's true. Because
they don't want to hear it. They're not ready to say... So anyway, I'm getting off fucking rails here.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Okay, so if you're supporting Trump, I don't want you in my life. Full stop. I'm gonna just be straight with you. And I will not lose an ounce of sleep over you not being in my life. Because if you can support him as a man or as a politician, personally, I think you're as fucking kooky as the people talking about ooze entering their mouth and getting their ass probed by aliens. I'm gonna just be fucking straight with you. I think you're insane. Everyone in the political sphere has some shit going on, but if you can look at Donald Trump, the people around him that he has put in place, fired, put in place, fired, put in place, fired, put in place, fired, put in place, gotten 20 seconds into a sentence, contradicted himself, gets called out for it and said he didn't say it 20 seconds ago, and then everyone just goes along and goes, yeah, he didn't say that. You're fucking crazy. If you can pull up like video every time, and why nobody's done this yet in an interview, and have a TV behind you when you're talking to Trump, and he goes, no, I didn't say that, and you go, let's check the replay, the instant replay. Oh wait, you just did. They would still, a lot of them, go along with it anyway. Because at the end of the day, what they want to hear and what they want to know is that their delusional fucking ideas have any basis in reality because they think that it's going to benefit them. And the greatest irony here, for example, the tax cut shit, is that you have an entire fucking field of people who are like, my God, I can't possibly, because taxes are one of those single issue voting situations.
Yep.
I can't vote for Biden. Why? Did you hear about his tax plan? Holy shit, we're going to be broke as fuck. We can't possibly take that kind of beating. The tax front? Oh, you mean the thing where he's just raising tax on people making north of like $400,000? Yeah, that's nuts. Be like, bro, you work at Loblaws. You work at, oh, it's a Canadian company. Sorry, a Canadian coming at me. You work at Kinko's. Motherfucker, you made 28 grand last year. Yeah, but in the future. Whoever the fuck tells you that they didn't vote for Biden because of his tax thing because they are afraid of taking the hit is the same person who will never make 400 grand in their life in a single calendar year. Full stop. I'm gonna just be honest with you. They'll be forever working minimum wage jobs, maybe 3, to crack 40 grand a year. And the irony of that and the sad thing about that is that the tax cut going to the 400K, they're paying for it. They're actually taking a tax hit on their end. But because they think they're going to magically become a fucking millionaire next Tuesday or in the next 4 fucking years of Biden's presidency, they won't vote for him because of it.
If he even makes 4 years.
There is a temporarily, I can't remember who said it, but it is a great description. Temporarily embarrassed millionaires. There is more than one thesis to be written about the American political system and the socio-economic fuckstorm that powers it. It's crazy. A lot of people say, oh, it's the education system. Uneducated vote. Motherfucker, it ain't that easy. Oh, it's just racism. It ain't that easy either. Oh, it's just this, it's just that. It ain't that. There is a fucking pile that has been literally formed specifically over time by both political parties, trading back and forth over time, that has created this thunderdome of fuckery that has produced what you're seeing right now, to the point where nearly 70 million people think that a dude that previous to getting fucking elected was caught on tape talking about literally sexually assaulting people on the regular and being happy about it. The dude who paid more taxes in China than he did in his home country, that man is the man to put back in place. The man who has more lies per minute than I can type on my keyboard. The dude who spends more time on Twitter than Kim Kardashian. The man who blamed Obama and pointed at him for drone strikes that has more in his first term than Obama did in 8. Everything's a lie. Not a single grain of truth has left his fucking parched, peach-ass lips. And people will still, in the tens of millions, vote for him. That is a scary thing that needs to be tackled. And it does. This isn't about having different opinions anymore. That would be like, and I hate to be the guy using the fucking example, but it's the reality of it. It's fascist shit. It is literally like if we're comparing Hitler to somebody else. Like, do we need to have a conversation if 70 million people suddenly want to side with genocide? Yeah, maybe we should look at the cultural reasons as to why that's happening. Why would 70 million people be okay with that? We should look into it. Because it isn't happening anywhere else in the fucking developed world. It's the States. So my opinion right now is that, unfortunately, your best case scenario is you have a man who, despite his ability to get beyond his disability of his speech impediment, and the fact that at 77, no matter how smart you are, you lose an edge. It's just the reality of the shit. You can be, I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm not saying he's incapable. But you lose an edge at 77. Trump lost his shit fucking 15 years ago and he's like 72. Your best hope is that this man gets in and surrounds himself with people who will do work beyond his ability. And to hopefully kickstart some shit that will, in the future, pull back the fucking firewall that has been coursing out through the entirety of the fucking country from the center out for years. Your best hope is that Joe Biden legitimately does what he says he's going to do, and here's the fucking kicker, not even Obama did that shit. And he was the best thing you guys had in our lifetimes. And if you don't think that, then I'm going to put you in the same fucking category as the ooze-drinking, ass-probing motherfuckers voting for Trump. Because no president, no world leader is perfect. They all do crazy shit, and it usually involves death. Obama, his biggest fucking hot button topic was he wore a fucking tan suit. That was what we had to deal with in the news cycle. We haven't had a single breathing second without having Trump shoved down our throats for far worse shit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4 years. And if you think that even if he loses, that's going away, I have news for you. It ain't.
Coming back Trump 2024, baby.
You're going to be dealing with this shit for ages. The Republicans have crammed the justice system full of backwards ass people in lifer positions. You guys have a literal fucking political war on your hands that unfortunately anyone under the age of 40 will be battling to reverse for the next 40 years. And that's a shitty thing to think about. I'm scared it's happening here in Canada slowly. Because our liberal people, which would be your version of the Democrats essentially, are fucking up so hard that we're probably going to have a flip. Where people are tired of the shit and they'll go for somebody who's equally insane. It can happen anywhere. And now you got to dig yourself out of it. Shit's crazy. So right now, you know what it is? Well, Biden's probably going to win. You can hope that he does what he said he's going to do. And you hope that Trump goes the fuck away as fast as humanly possible. That's your best case scenario. Because right now, unfortunately, you guys just passed 100,000 new cases a day of the coronavirus in the States. You got people literally dying more than 9/11 per day, per 24-hour period. We're still talking about 9/11 like it was the worst thing that happened in the States from a death toll, and how dare they come onto our soil and do that shit to us? Your own fucking people are killing your own fucking people on a greater magnitude every 24-hour fucking cycle of the sun for the last fucking 9 months and continuing. And even if you were to miraculously mask up the whole fucking nation and lock them down, you're still nigh on impossible to be able to claw it back. And so again, I would say to top that all off for why America is where it's at right now with that shit, it was always going to be rough because New York and California places, they're hubs for air travel for the world. It was going to be bad. There's no fucking two ways around it. Shit was going to be dark. But if you have even the smallest goddamn inclination that literally anyone, including a soft, warm potato salad, could have done a worse job than Donald fucking Trump and his administration of curtailing the travesty that has been the handling of coronavirus in the U.S., you're high as fucking, you're fucking high as a kite. Bath salts. You're fucking, you think your arm's an orange, you're peeling it. That's the crazy that you're at right now.
All right.
So just, what are my thoughts? The US is Rome, falling in real time, and we're watching it. And there are some good people in our community that are fighting hard to make that shit reverse. And the scariest part about it is, even if Trump loses, that's like, you got your toe in the water. That's step one of many, many steps to come. Buckle the fuck up. I'm praying for you. Because motherfucker, whether you believe in God or not, you need it.
Yeah. I'm praying too. That tells you.
Let's get one more softer one just to end it on a nice note. Let's see here. I thought there was one here that I had lined up that was... Oh, here we go. Seth asks, what's your favorite vice?
What do you mean?
Vice would be like for somebody who's a smoker or a drinker. You know, their vice, their thing that they have to, like, their habits that aren't necessarily healthy, but you do them anyway.
I'd probably say work.
It's right. Unhealthy amounts of work.
Yeah.
Is your vice.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, my vice is just like I don't even know what my vice would be right now. I can't even afford to have a vice. I mean, like, for me, it's like I guess my vice right now is how little I'm exercising. So like just being lazy, like physically so. Like sitting in a chair all the time, or like laying on the couch behind watching movies and then going to bed. I'm like sedentary all the time. It's a miracle I can even walk. It's like a miracle my legs remember how to like put one foot in front of the other. Like right now, my vice is probably the opposite of yours, where I'm like technically working, but I'm just doing stuff that's self-serving. Like I'm playing, I wake up and instead of doing something that like working towards a goal of some kind, I'm just doing something that keeps my mind more occupied. Whatever I think is going to occupy my mind more in a day. Because the world is on fire. And so whatever I can do to just keep my mind occupied, because as you just seen from that rant that I have a real fucking, you might as well call it a problem with injustice in general, and I always have, and 2020 is the unhealthiest year of my life because of it. I get white hot angry for friends in the US because of what's happening in the US. And the same thing here in Canada for friends in Toronto or people that like are living out in Alberta having to deal with some of the shit that's going on out there. I get physically white hot fucking angry. I have to go hit my heavy bag. I have to go do something. I have to get it out of my system because I hate that all of these things, logically, there's no reason for them to be happening. And the fixes are not difficult. And so the fact that they continue to happen fucking drives me wild. So I have to do anything I can to occupy my mind, which has been Warzone for the last week, and not Morrowind, because I love Morrowind, but it doesn't tie my brain up enough. It's autopilot. I can just play Morrowind, and there's nothing happening. My brain is just going. I'll think about it instead, and then I get fucking going. So with Warzone, there's enough going on, and broken ass bullshit that my brain's tied up. So my vice right now is caving to It's almost like instead of comfort food, that's what I use. So some people, when they're stressed out or they're not feeling, they go to food, or they sleep more, or they're drinking, or they're smoking. I'm like, it's what game am I going to stream today? I combine some level of like work with what's gonna fucking keep me distracted, and like, Voltron that shit together, and that's probably my my vice, I would say right now. But I can't. Usually my vice would be buying new hardware, but luckily everything's been sold out so fast that I haven't had the ability to even want to.
Yeah.
Not even an option. New NVIDIA cards, can't get them. New AMD CPUs, not possible. It's probably a good thing that I can't, because I'd probably own some right now if it wasn't for it.
Mine is definitely work. It's without a doubt, and it's like it's a good vice. That's the worst part about the vice is like
you can justify why you're leaning into it.
Why you're doing this, yeah. So like for me, it's sort of the same. I work too much, but I do it for a purpose, and it's all I think about. Like as soon as I'm done this, I'm going to go to the voiceover booth. I got 2 voiceovers to do. And I got to wake up in the morning. I got to go to the bank, sign these papers. Then I got to start my stream right away. Then I get a sponsored thing in the afternoon. Then I got a poker session that night. It's just like every day, my day is just filled with work. And the craziest part about it is if it wasn't filled with work, I'd feel depressed. I'd be like, man, the fuck am I doing? I just sat on the sofa for 3 hours. What in the fuck am I doing? That's how I think. And then it makes me agitated and fucking I'm in my own head. And that's just it. So I guess it's not the worst vice to have. It's kind of like a guy that goes to the gym too much or like works out all the time. Eats too healthy.
You're like riding that body dysmorphia line. You're exactly. right up to the body dysmorphia,
yeah, that's
but
it.
not quite crossing it.
I'm not taking care of my health because I work too much. Could easily wake up an hour earlier and still get the same amount of work done and just work out for an hour. But, after you work all that much time, you're like, I deserve to sleep. I just need to shut it off for a little while. And when you get back on, it's just like, time to get to work.
Yep.
That's where I'm at. It's where I've always been. Everybody in my life tells me you work too much. You do too much. And then all I got to say is, well, look what I have to show for it. Imagine if I didn't do that. Then I also realized that, hey, if I just cut back a little bit, my life ain't going to change.
Yeah. I think people default to that too sometimes, because there are a lot of people that also work too much, but it doesn't always result in extraordinary success.
Yes.
Right? So that's the other thing, is that like there are people that would also, like somebody who is working in an office environment and there's no overtime hours, but they're just working like crazy anyway.
Yeah,
like there's
no real major trade-off.
You're not going to get a promotion because you're in there pretending to work, kind of thing. Like there's no trade-off, or like not everyone gets that.
Yeah, but if I put in those extra 10 hours a week, that could equate to a large amount of money or a large opportunity to further a business venture or whatever.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it. But there does come a time where you at least got to look at it like, bro, you need to take care of your health. Because you're not going to be able to do anything if you're not healthy.
Bro, period. The entire right side of my body is basically useless right now because of how I sit and like the positions that we are in all the time. Yeah. Like my right hip carriage and my whole fucking right leg joint and shit. It's like I'm pawing around like a fucking club foot. Yeah. My right shoulder's all fucky and everything, and like it's just, so you have to, I mean, there's a little bit you have to take with it. But yeah, it is a balance. But yeah, vice, work in general for sure.
And I tell myself, hey, if you just keep busting a couple more years, you'll be able to take that time off.
You're going to say that until you're 60.
A couple years comes, I got just a couple more years. And, it's always something. It's just like, it's a game. It's just a game. It's a game.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. That's my vice. Could have worse vices.
Yeah. It's true.
I could be smoking crack.
True. And if there was a year to smoke some crack,
I could smoke a lot of weed. I don't smoke weed.
True.
That could slow me down.
Yep.
Or it might just chill me out. I might get more stuff done. Who knows?
I think for me, because like sometimes I'll work a lot too, and why I end up doing so many different things is that it's the act of doing nothing that I'm more what I consider to be nothing. I don't mind taking some time to watch some shows or watch a movie or whatever, but like taking a full day off and doing literally dick all once in a very rare time will I want to actually do that.
Yeah.
If I'm doing something I feel like at least has some value, like let's say you had like a martial art on the side, or you were learning an instrument, or like some tangible benefit, watching TV is not improving you at all other than the act of relaxation, right? So if you relax during that, obviously you want to fit some of that time in, but like that's the trade-off is like, you could be doing that, but you could do this and then find your healthy balance. But when you're a workaholic, it all just results in more work one way or the other. Speaking of workaholics, we did another 3-hour podcast, so we're going to end it there and put this one up. Last week, unfortunately, YouTube took like 18 hours and didn't finish the processing, so hopefully this week it does, and I don't have to re-upload it again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. It was a low-energy...
Yeah.
It was a relatively low-energy podcast.
It was. But
But
chill.
hopefully you got some enjoyment out of it one way or the other. To our American friends, God fucking speed over the next couple of weeks, because it's going to be a couple weeks minimum, and stay as positive as you fucking can. For God's sake.
Be nice to each other.
Yes, that too.
Just be nice to each other.
At least do that. And if you can't be, just don't talk at all. Just don't talk at all. Ladies and gentlemen, that's another Tech the Elf podcast. We'll see you guys next week. And until we do, have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, and all that jazz. Peace.
Peace.